Happy Friday. It is June 27th. You're watching CTV Morning Live. Thank you so much for being with us. Today is the big day. 10:30 this morning. Portage and Main will open up for the first time in 46 years. Ainsley McPhail is going to be live there this morning telling us about some of the things that are happening there with the mayor today. The mayor is also going to join her, and also Graham Avenue is going to change forever as a result of this. So we're going to find out a little bit more about that. But first, your headlines. A defining moment for downtown Winnipeg. Portage and Main reopens to pedestrians today, nearly 50 years after being closed off. The city is rolling out a safety plan for Wellington Crescent after a cyclist was killed last year. But some say it doesn't go far enough. And Nick Dembski delivers again, and the Bombers blow past the Elks. A 13-point fourth quarter push keeps their undefeated streak alive. Bringing in Catherine Dow now. It was a beautiful evening last night. My garden is green. Everything is plush. It looks amazing out there.
Well, you know what? If your garden could use another drink, Rochelle, tonight could be the chance, because we've got a good amount of rainfall in the forecast. Sadly, a good amount of instability. That's not great news for the north. I'll have details in a moment. Currently, though, it's looking lovely to kick off the day. 12 degrees, winds out of the south-southeast. The barometric pressure is falling, and the humidity sits at 94%. We're starting off nice and clear, but as you can see, we've got a good amount of rainfall coming over the westerly border there, likely to bring not only rainfall, but again, thunderstorm activity off and on to different parts of the province. Our futurecast paints a bit of a clearer picture. So as you can see, this speckling here in the north, that's likely to bring rainfall off and on throughout the day. Again, potentially that thunderstorm risk, and it's likely to continue on overnight. Us here in the south, we start to see that flicker come in. That's bringing a slight chance for thunderstorms in the southwest this afternoon, and it really intensifies all overnight and spreads out through all of southern Manitoba. So likely a stormy evening ahead for the south and north. We're unified on that front. Into tomorrow, it's looking like another rainy day for northern Manitoba, as mentioned. We could see a little bit of rainfall a little later on into the afternoon here in Winnipeg, but mostly it's going to be pretty sunny. In terms of our temperatures, it's going to be a scorcher today, 27 degrees. Again, with those overnight temperatures, with this kind of heat, it can really trigger that instability. And then into tomorrow, another hot one with a high of 28.
Thanks, Catherine. One of Winnipeg's landmark intersections is set to reopen today, nearly 5 decades after it closed to pedestrians. At 10:30 this morning, Mayor Scott Gillingham is expected to take part in a ceremonial first crossing at the Portage Avenue and Main Street intersection in the city's downtown. Over the years, people have congregated by the thousands to celebrate milestones and protest injustices at the intersection. Concrete barriers have prevented pedestrian crossings at the intersection since 1979, forcing people to go through an underground concourse. The city has released a safety plan for a section of Wellington Crescent where a cyclist was killed last year. Since Rob Jenner's death, cycling advocates have been pushing for changes. The new strategy will see a bike path constructed and the speed limit lowered from 50 to 40 kilometers an hour between Academy and Stradbrook. Despite the measures, those calling for a bike path are disappointed. CTV's Jeff Keel explains.
Cyclists like Lauren Thompson have to share the road with vehicles on this stretch of Wellington Crescent because there is no bike path.
It's easy where the bike paths are, but it's not so easy right here. It's you just have to be careful.
Now there's a pilot project proposal at City Hall to add one-way bike lanes on both sides of Wellington between Academy and Stradbrook, using painted lines, plastic bollards, and adjustable concrete curbs. This until the street is upgraded one day and a permanent path is constructed. Plus, the speed limit would drop from 50 to 40 km.
It will provide safer biking facilities, and it will connect key destinations and key pieces of existing infrastructure.
The new safety measures come following the death of cyclist Rob Jenner last year. This memorial stands as a reminder. Cycling and safety advocates say the bike path is a step in the right direction, but they're not happy. It won't be in place until next spring. They want it installed now.
Not just disappointed, I'm very angry.
It's just really disappointing that we have to keep pushing these things, and it feels a lot like lack of political will.
And they say 40 km is still too fast. The speed should be 30.
It's just a very, very dangerous road. 40 is a compromise made by people who apparently never leave their car.
But this section of Wellington is a regional street with high traffic counts. A section here will see traffic lanes drop from 4 to 2. Lorne Thompson says he's also a driver and isn't convinced a bike path or a speed limit drop fits here.
No, I don't think so. I think 50 is a decent speed if people stay to that speed.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
A city report says the pilot project will cost $400,000. The report says 29 evening and weekend parking spaces between Coburn and Wardlaw will be lost as a result of the plan. The report also says there's not enough time to do consultation with impacted property owners this year. That will be done this fall. A 49-year-old Canadian has died while in U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody in Florida. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand posted on social media saying Canadian consular officials are urgently seeking more information from U.S. officials. She adds no further details will be provided for now. A statement from ICE reads in part, Johnny Noviello, a 49-year-old citizen of Canada, was found unresponsive. Noviello was arrested by ICE on May 15th and charged with removability for violating U.S. drug laws. He was found unresponsive June 23rd at a detention center. The cause of his death is under investigation. Iran's supreme leader has warned the U.S. against any future attacks amid escalating tensions in the Middle East. In a recorded message Thursday, the 86-year-old released his first public comments since the ceasefire was declared with Israel, saying the U.S. had, quote, exaggerated the impact of the strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. The Pentagon is offering a very different take on the situation.
There's been a lot of discussion about what happened and what didn't happen. Step back for a second. Because of decisive military action, President Trump created the conditions to end the war, decimating, choose your word, obliterating, destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities.
The U.S. military also shared a test video showing what it looks like when a bunker-busting bomb hits a cave. This is the same type of weapon used in the strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. Last night, the Blue Bombers were looking to improve their record to 3-0 on a short week after consecutive and convincing wins over the BC Lions. Meanwhile, the Edmonton Elks were hoping for their first win after back-to-back losses to the Lions and the Montreal Alouettes.
Matthew Peterson stands in behind. His quarterback, Lars, is going to be throwing here towards Dembski.
That was Nick Dembski's third touchdown of the season, thanks to a 13-point surge in the fourth. Winnipeg won 36-23 in front of a sold-out crowd. The blue and gold are unbeatable so far this season. The Bombers play next on Thursday, July 3rd in Calgary. Kickoff against the Stampeders is at 8 p.m. Here's a look at what's happening at Portage at Polo Park. Looks good so far. No issues to tell you about. If you see any problems out there, let us know, please. Let's go now to Ainsley McPhail, who is live this morning at Portage and Main. Good morning.
I'm standing in two places at once, Rochelle, and for the first time in 46 years this morning, these barricades will be open to pedestrian access. Of course, the long-standing conversation against Canada's crossroads. The membrane underneath, says the city, would have cost $73 million over a 5-year span. Instead, they've opted for the 8 months of surface work, which would have caused you delays, which is $21 million, initially to cost $13 million. So throughout the morning, we're going to be chatting with Mayor Scott Gillingham about the excitement around this. At 10:30, I think they're going to do their official barricade removal, allowing pedestrians to cross through. This also aligns with the transit network's new launch, essentially closing all of those bus routes on Graham Avenue and encouraging more cyclists and pedestrian walking access as well. We're also going to be chatting with the Downtown Biz about what this means for businesses and what it means for residents. Of course, many Winnipeggers, Manitobans have been split on this, but it is in fact opening this morning for good. And we've got Dancing Gabe here quite early to support.
Absolutely. It looks like people are crossing already. All right. It's not safe to do so quite yet. We'll see you in a bit, Ainsley. Thank you. Catherine, it's the Friday before Canada Day, so what better way to celebrate than a pool party? Check this out. These pups know how to have fun, from surfing to swimming to playing in the foam and chasing balls. We need more of these kinds of parks here. Look at these little guys. They're loving this.
I wonder if we have any of these. I'd love to bring my dog to the. Oh, can they open this up to humans? This
Oh my goodness!
fun.
Look at how much fun they're having.
I know. I mean, yeah. Oh, I mean, this is
Humans
summer.
don't know where to go. They don't
No.
belong there. This is the dog park.
No, as much as I love dogs, I don't know that I want to be like swimming in a pool that's exclusively swam by dogs.
So cute. How's it feeling out there?
You know, you could probably use a quick trip to the pool later on today because it's not yet, but it's going to be getting hot. Right now, it is just really pleasant. The sun has risen. The sun right in my eyes, actually. It's currently 12 degrees. The winds are out of the southeast. They're going to be getting very strong throughout the day. The wind, or the barometric pressure rather, is dropping. The humidity sits at 94%. So yes, it is going to be a gusty one here in southern Manitoba. We're looking at southerly gusts upwards of 30 to 50 kilometers per hour into the afternoon. Lots of sunshine to kick us off, clouds into the afternoon. However, a system rolling in could be bringing some thunderstorms potentially to the southwest this afternoon, and then likely to all of southern Manitoba overnight. Could spark some severe thunderstorm warnings. Temperatures will be hot in the upper 20s. For Winnipeg, it's 27. To the north, rainfall, excuse me, which is great because we know that wildfire activity has been very damaging, very violent, and we've been working to contain it, obviously, and hopefully some rainfall will really bolster the efforts of wildfire crews. So look for that rainfall to fall off and on throughout the day. The bad news is some thunderstorm activity and some lightning associated with it. Keep our fingers crossed for just that rain because it's likely to fall the next couple of days. Alrighty, I'm going to head inside, but stay with us. So much more CTV Morning Live still to come on this Friday.
CTV Morning Live Weather brought to you by Canadian Footwear, helping you find the perfect fit.
Good morning. Coming up to 6:15. The province is cautioning people of possible measles exposures at 2 Winkler medical facilities. The first exposure happened June 17th at CW Weeb Medical Center, urgent care, between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., as well as exposures at Boundary Trails Health Center's emergency department on 3 separate occasions. June 19th from 9:40 a.m. to 3:20 p.m., June 20th from 10:10 p.m. to 1:20 a.m., and June 21st from 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Anyone who has been exposed is being asked to monitor for symptoms for 22 days. They're also recommending those who may have been exposed on these days to ensure their measles vaccination is up to date, particularly those born in 1970 or later who never had a measles vaccination and have never had a measles infection. If you get injured on a camping trip to the country this summer, Doctors Manitoba is warning there may not be an emergency room physician available to treat you. Doctors Manitoba says the vast majority of rural hospitals in our province won't have their ERs open 24/7 this summer. It says the ERs often experience changing hours of operation and even periodic closures. After looking at schedules and speaking with doctors, the organization believes 24 ERs will be operating with reduced hours and or occasional closures. Another 28 are expected to be fully closed this summer, and officials worry the system could experience even more demand than normal this year due to reduced trips in the United States.
In any emergency situation, whether you live down the road or across the street from an emergency room that you think is open, if it's truly an emergency, please call 911. The ambulance dispatch is always aware of the most updated closures. And so, that's an important way that if you are, having crushing chest pain, let the professionals come to you and help you there instead of trying to kind of, play the guessing game yourself with your family.
Doctors Manitoba is suggesting people visit ruralcare.ca before you make your trip. The site has links to local ER schedules for each health region and guidance about what to do during a medical emergency. New data shows Canadians 65 and older are feeling it's more difficult to access primary care. The Canadian Institute for Health Information report shows in 2024, almost 600,000 seniors reported not having a primary location where they receive care. 63% received prompt, same-day answers from their doctors to medical questions. 29% reported ease in obtaining care during evenings, weekends, or holidays. 25% were able to secure a same or next day appointment, and almost 1 in 5 said they had experienced emotional distress, which they found difficult to cope with in the last year. If you feel like you're working longer and paying more for the basics, you are not alone, but new numbers show Canadians are clawing their way back from runaway inflation. Average wages were up more than 4% year over year, while inflation increased just 1.7%. CTV's Andrew Johnson on the sectors with the largest gains.
Life right now for many Canadian families may be feeling something like this.
95% of your paycheck goes to rent, and the other 5% you got to kind of like figure out what you're going to do with it. So it's a lot of pasta these days.
But the numbers have been turning around. New average wages in a variety of industries were released by Statistics Canada. Pay overall is up more than 4%. Let's take a closer look. If you work in information and culture, it's an industry that's paying 10% more than last year. These are jobs related to the movie industry, telecommunications, publishing, and content providing. Wages in real estate and rentals are up close to 10%. Finance and insurance wages rose 8%. Education is paying 7% more, and so is forestry and logging. At the other end of the spectrum, the average wage for people who work in utilities, think electric, gas, and water, is down close to 3%. Wages in retail down a bit as well, and in wholesale. The arts, entertainment, and recreation sector also did not keep pace with inflation. Matt Marple works in the restaurant industry.
Do you feel like you're getting ahead?
No. I tell my wife that, but yeah, she still pushes for a third baby.
One economist acknowledges Canadians clawing their way back against inflation may still feel priced out.
Folks are upset that prices are going up on things, regular, everyday purchases like food. They're upset that prices for rental or the price per purchase of houses has been going up and really hasn't been coming down all that much.
He also points out this trajectory of rising wages and economic growth we've seen over the past year or two is now in serious danger due to the Donald Trump tariff effect. And the near future is very much a question mark. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
A big shakeup in the fashion world. American Vogue's publisher Condé Nast has confirmed that after nearly 40 years, the editor-in-chief of Vogue, Anna Wintour, is stepping down. Wintour is not leaving altogether, just scaling back her duties. She will remain as Condé Nast's global chief content officer, as well as Vogue's global editorial director. Wintour is credited with turning Vogue into a fashion powerhouse that could set and destroy both trends and designers. Wintour became editor-in-chief of Vogue in 1988. She is widely seen as the inspiration for Meryl Streep's character in The Devil Wears Prada. Here's a look now what's happening at Kenaston and Sterling Lyon. Looks like things are starting off really well this Friday morning. No issues to tell you about at this point in the morning.
The Bathfitter Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years.
What you don't know about that sweater, it's not blue, it's not navy, it's cerulean, isn't it? That is a reference for Devil Wears Prada fans and Anna Wintour fans. Already, speaking of blue, lovely clear skies, 12 degrees out there, a mix of sun and cloud. The winds are out of the southeast, going to be getting quite strong throughout the day. The barometric pressure is falling in. The humidity sits at 94%. Someone out there laughs at my jokes. There's probably 1%. Director Kim tells me she's laughing. You know what? I'm not laughing at these temperatures. They're gorgeous. I love them so much. 11 degrees in Brandon, 14 in Portage, 11 in Gimli. Over in Kenora, 14 degrees this hour. Yes, a rather pleasant start to the day up in northern Manitoba as well. Temperatures across the board here in the mid to upper teens, 16 in Thompson and Churchill. Quite warm in Island Lake at 18 degrees. Some instability, as we can see, starting to rear its head specifically in the northwest, and we're seeing some come over the southwestern border there, bringing the possibility of rainfall and thunderstorms to that region. A light chance this afternoon, a stronger one overnight. Not the case for us, as you put the kids on the bus, maybe for the last time this year. 16 degrees under those clear skies with light southerly winds. I mentioned some strong winds. They're going to be ramping up into the afternoon, once again out of the south at 30, gusting at times to 50 kilometers per hour. Skies will start to clear over with 26 degrees on that bus ride home. We're getting a hair warmer than that. 27 is our high, 25 is what's typical. Those southerly winds persisting overnight with temperatures dipping down to 17. That's when we get that instability. Overnight thunderstorms likely through much of southern Manitoba and the north for that matter. Into tomorrow, though, clears out nicely. There is a slight chance of some showers with a high of 28 degrees. Your CTV Morning Live picture of the day. Who says you can't stop and smell the roses? This guy certainly does. Thanks for submitting, Sabrina, and keep your weather pictures coming to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
CTV Morning Live School Day Forecast is brought to you by Rainbow Stage, your season to sing.
Good morning. Canada, it turns out, is a global leader in water parks. A company called ProSlides Technologies is making a splash literally around the world. CTV's Tyler Fleming reports.
It is pure summer energy at Mont Cascade.
Feeling of being alive, you know?
Every twist, turn, and drop of these water slides designed to deliver thrills.
It's like electricity going all the way through your body. It's really awesome.
But behind all this fun at the water park, a surprising story of Canadian innovation.
It's all about the line in ski racing, and it's all about the line on the water slides.
Rick Hunter grew up in Ottawa, carving turns as a skier on Canada's national team. Later, his passion and love for the sport shaping his first water slide designs.
You need to have entertainment, you need to have enough speed, but it's amazing the sequence of parts, the gradient of the slides. There was something about skiing that was involved in all of the water ride design and development. And you sweep into a shorter radius.
In 1986, ProSlide technology was born. A few years later, Hunter had the chance to purchase Mont Cascade. His sketches and idea took form.
Be global, think local, you know, like this idea about Mont Cascade, it's key. We built the world's first dark mammoth, the 9-foot tunnel. It's up there now. World's first tornado at 24.
Many of the slides here were first of their kind prototypes, which catapulted ProSlide onto the world stage. This multi-lane headfirst racer, the first to be made of fiberglass.
It went viral. We sold it to Disney, and then we sold it to all the Six Flags.
Today, ProSlide creates some of the most iconic, advanced, and massive water slides on the planet. Made in Canada by a dedicated team of nearly 200 employees and used in water parks in nearly every continent.
Sketched out this morning. So this is for Italy, and loving to be a Canadian competing in the world. And yes, we can be the best, 100%, and we can do it from our roots.
Which is here at Mont Cascade. Like ProSlide, it will be growing.
We're planning quite an aggressive, over the next number of years, an aggressive expansion at Mont Cascade. It's a proud moment.
Tyler Fleming, CTV News.
We are live on Graham right now. Portage and Main is officially opening today, and this bus route will close officially on Sunday. We're going to tell you more about that. Stay with us.
CTV Morning Live is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
Casting our eyes to the sky, a little bit cloudy to kick us off. 12 degrees, southeasterly winds. The pressure is falling and the humidity sits at 94%. Welcome back and happy Friday. Lots of sunshine on the way to close out the work week. Potential, though, for some rain in northern Manitoba and later for us here, too, in the south. You can start to see these systems pushing in there from the southwest and there from the northwest. In terms of us today, we're likely to stay dry. We'll start off with clearer skies and then clouds will build into the afternoon. A high of 27 degrees. Winds very strong out of the south at 30, gusting at times to 50 kilometers per hour. Overnight tonight, temperatures dipping down to 17 degrees. As mentioned, a good chance of some rain and thunderstorm activity off and on throughout the evening. Once again, winds strong out of the south at 20, gusting at times to 40 kilometers per hour. Ooh, this is a bit long for that. Yes, the rainfall risk isn't totally behind us tomorrow. We have a slight chance of some thunderstorms into the late afternoon. Another hot day, 27 degrees, southwesterly winds at 20 kilometers per hour. Into the back half of the weekend, it's looking lovely. 26 under clear sunny skies. And then from there, we're kind of sticking with a theme into next week. No, I didn't forget to program this. This is our forecast. Sunshine throughout, highs above seasonal and into the upper 20-degree mark.
Thank you, Catherine. Winnipeg police are asking for your help to find a suspect in a random attack at the Forks. Police released this photo of the man they're looking for, 33-year-old Daniel Christopher Dumas. He's accused of assaulting a 30-year-old man at the Forks on June 6th. He's also wanted in connection with an attack and robbery of a woman at a beer vendor on Sherbrooke Street on June 7th and an attempted break-in in River Heights. Dumas is 5 feet 8 inches tall and 150 pounds. Police say he should be considered armed and dangerous and shouldn't be approached. If you can help, you're asked to call police or Crime Stoppers. We're hearing some grim statistics when it comes to drug-related death rates in Manitoba. Our province had rates that were among the highest in all of Canada last year. CTV's Daniel Halmerson explains.
The number of Manitobans dying after overdosing on drugs is hovering at alarming levels. That's according to a new report on toxic drug poisonings released by the Public Health Agency of Canada. Data shows 371 Manitobans died of opioid-related overdoses from drugs like fentanyl in 2024. That's a slight drop from 2023 totals, but a staggering jump from a total of 62 deaths in 2019. Additionally, the Public Health Agency says stimulants like cocaine and meth are responsible for 448 suspected overdose deaths. That number is a big leap from 81 fatalities reported in 2019. And though Manitoba only accounts for a small percentage of fatal overdoses in Canada, the data shows the province has some of the country's highest rates of death.
It is the same thing year after year, which is incredibly sad. Because we're talking about people, right? We're talking about loved ones.
Arlene Lass-Kolb's son, Jesse, died from fentanyl poisoning in 2014. Since then, she's been advocating for a safe, regulated drug supply and more public awareness.
Nothing's really changed in the last, almost 11 years since my son's passed away, except we have more naloxone.
Meantime, staff from Sunshine House's mobile overdose prevention site say the toxic drug crisis isn't getting easier to manage.
And with the increase we're seeing in complex overdoses, which are overdoses that are caused by both a stimulant and a downer, it's becoming more difficult to adapt in like an emergency scenario.
Caleb Clay says safety is paramount for anyone using substances. That means not doing drugs alone, having access to harm reduction supplies, and getting drugs tested ahead of time.
There was one test we had that said it was cocaine, like that was what it was sold as, and there was not a single drop of cocaine in that substance. It was mostly fillers and then those other toxics.
Daniel Halmerson, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Numbers of deaths gathered by the Public Health Agency for 2024 are different than what the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner of Manitoba reported for the same year. According to the Chief Medical Examiner, 570 Manitobans died from drug overdoses. The Chief Medical Examiner says the majority of drug-related deaths in Manitoba are due to mixed opioid and stimulant toxicity. Also, the Chief Medical Examiner says they capture drug overdose fatalities which involve substances outside of those two categories, while the Public Health Agency separates deaths into those two categories and therefore may double count some deaths. You'll want to be extra careful when you park your vehicle this winter. A report heading to the Public Works Committee says the city will no longer be offering courtesy tows during residential parking bans. The Public Service says the number of calls for vehicles blocking snow clearing equipment has been dropping steadily, and there's no bylaw requiring courtesy tows. Instead, it says it's going to keep looking for ways to stop people from parking on snow routes in the first place, possibly by sending out reminders in mailboxes or text messages. And here's a look now what's happening at McPhillip Street. Things appear to be moving well starting off this Friday morning. No issues to tell you about. It's a gorgeous start to your day, though. If you see any problems out there, let us know, please. And here's a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.37, while the provincial average is lower at $1.32. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.30. The lowest price in the city is $1.16. All this info is on gasbuddy.com.
Price at the Pump brought to you by kidneycard.ca. Get a free tow and a tax receipt for value of your car.
Are you ready to crank up your summer? Country Thunder is bringing the party to Princess Auto Stadium on July 10th, and we've got 4 tickets with your name on them. Get ready to sway and sing along with Riley Green, Tyler Hubbard, Nate Smith, and Madeline Merlot under the Summer Stars. To enter, head to the contest page on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and enter the clue word Thunder. Good luck. Let's go down to Ainsley McPhail, who is live this morning on Graham Avenue. Portage and Main is opening today, but Graham Avenue is closing on, I guess, late Saturday. Good morning.
Good morning, Rochelle. Yeah, starting on Sunday, there's going to be there's going to be no buses along this loop of Graham Avenue. And we're talking about Portage and Main all morning long. It coincides with Transit's plan. So Transit Manager Bjorn Radstrom joins us to explain in the simplest terms, because everyone hears transit, and if they're not a transit user, they might have a lot of questions. What are the biggest changes, and how is it interconnected with the conversation surrounding Portage and Main?
Sure. So we're transforming the entire route network. Basically, at the end of the day, on Saturday, the entire current network goes away. We're replacing it with a brand new route network where everything is going to be different, bus stops, bus lines, all of it. And so for Graham Avenue here, where we're standing, we won't have any buses here anymore. A lot of them are moving to Portage, but the north-south routes stay north-south on all the north-south streets through downtown. And with Portage and Main reopening, because we now have a more simplified route network where all the buses aren't making a lot of turns there, there's no longer conflicts with the pedestrians that would be trying to cross the street. So now it works for us to have pedestrians crossing there with the buses moving through.
What are the major benefits of this?
It's a much simpler network. It sounds very simple, but the lines are straighter. We incur a lot of delay whenever a bus makes a turn. Left turns are even worse. Left turns downtown are worse than that. Left turns downtown at rush hour, even worse. By straightening them out, we can be a lot more reliable, and the schedules can be a little bit tighter, and things can just work a lot better.
When we talk about pedestrian access, of course, Portage and Main, that's the big chat today, but also downtown as well. Is that the central idea?
Yeah, we've got a few major terminals or major stops downtown now. So Portage and Main will essentially become the hub of the system. Union Station is another one, and as well up on around City Hall. And then the stops along Portage Avenue, including the U of W. And that's where a lot of the routes kind of come together, and where people will transfer between what we call the primary network lines, the Blue Rapid Transit lines, some of the frequent express lines, and the other frequent lines.
I see that you brought a bicycle today, and cyclists are part of a pilot project. Tell us about that project and hopes for the future.
Yeah, because we won't be on Graham Avenue anymore, there's a project called Reimagining Graham, and the blocks that were exclusively transit, for the most part, are going to be turned over to bicyclists and pedestrians, and also art installations, lighting installations. Buses will still be, for the next few years, operating on Graham from Gary to Main Street, but not on the rest of it.
And when we talk about reimagined or a vision for Winnipeg's future, these are all building blocks for that. So with these changes, what's next?
After this, the next big thing that we're doing is a design study for all of the portions of rapid transit that are downtown to connect everything together, because we have all these frequent express lines. Those are the candidates for future rapid transit, but what we want to do is design and build the rapid transit in the downtown portions to get things working a lot better, and then we can work our way out from there.
Change can be tricky for a lot of folks. Do you have a message for residents?
Yeah, try out all the different trip planners that we have right now. So there's our own trip planner, Navigo. We partner with a company called the Transit app, and there's a trip planner on there. So even now, before the launch, you can plan out your trips and see what they'll be like. And we're also asking people to just give it a shot, take the bus for a while, and provide us with feedback, because we really, really value that feedback and the criticism and complaints, as long as people are really constructive and helpful with their suggestions.
Bjorn, thank you so much for this chat. Mayor Scott Gillingham joins us at 7:27. We're heading back to Portage and Main.
Big day for the city. Okay, thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now. It's starting off really gorgeous and sunny this morning, but things could change later today.
Yeah, maybe a little later on tonight for us. There could be some instability, so get out and enjoy the sunshine, because it's going to be just a lovely day. Currently, it's at 12 degrees, few clouds lingering. Winds out of the southeast are going to be getting much stronger in the south. Barometric pressure is falling. Humidity sits at 94%. So we'll start at the north and work our way down. So northern Manitoba, a bit of a stormy evening last night. Look for that to potentially continue off and on throughout the day. Rainfall, unfortunately, thunderstorm and lightning associated with this system. That's likely to be sticking around for the day. We don't want that, of course, the rainfall needed for those wildfire fights. The good news is rainfall is possible in its purest form through the rest of the weekend. Temperatures today will be in the mid-20s, so still well above seasonal. For us here in the south, likely clear to start, clouds into the afternoon. The southwest has a slight chance of some rainfall and thunderstorm in late afternoon as another system rolls in. Could cause some weather warnings, some extreme severe thunderstorm warnings. And then that system should fan out throughout southern Manitoba. Likely a stormy evening for us as temperatures dip here in Winnipeg. But tomorrow the sunshine is back out. Temperatures well above seasonal again. In Winnipeg, we're looking at a high of 27. All right, I'm going to head inside and reapply the sunscreen, but stay with us. So much more CTV Morning Live still to come.
CTV Morning Live weather brought to you by Garage Masters, your complete garage specialists.
Looking at the early markets, Wall Street looks set for a positive open this morning. Dow futures are up 113 points. S&P futures are also in the green, rising 14. The Nasdaq futures are leading the way with a 66-point bump. The Canadian dollar is seeing a slight increase. Overseas, the Hang Seng has dropped 41, while Japan's Nikkei is up 566. Good morning. It is 6:45. 2 hotel owners in Portage and Main are facing labor trafficking charges after an RCMP investigation that began 5 months ago. RCMP's human trafficking unit alleges 4 people, all from India, were forced to clean, do laundry, and other jobs at a hotel for well below minimum wage and forced to work 15-hour days. The husband and wife hotel owners are accused of withholding the victims' IDs and threatening them with deportation.
They all came to Canada in good faith, believing they were going to work legally and be protected. Instead, they were threatened and forced to work for very little pay.
The 4 alleged victims were recruited to Manitoba through a Labour Market Impact Assessment Agreement, or LIMA. It's a document that employers need before hiring a foreign worker. RCMP say there's very little awareness about labour trafficking in Manitoba. They want employees to know their rights, including what employers should never do. They should never threaten you with violence, arrest, or deportation, or ask for your pay or a portion of your pay that was promised to you. Employers should never control who you speak with. Employers should not withhold your identification documents. And RCMP add that employer-provided housing should be sanitary and secure. If you think you or someone you know is the victim of labor trafficking, there are community resources that can help. The Joyce Smith Foundation works to provide access to information to empower employees to stay safe from exploitation. The Canadian Human Trafficking Hotline is open 24/7 and is confidential. It helps connect victims and survivors with social services, law enforcement, and emergency services. And the Salvation Army provides outreach, emergency housing, rehabilitation services, and employment training. You can get all this information on our website, ctvwinnipeg.ca. We all know that Winnipeg hosts a number of wild species on our riverbanks and in green spaces. And if you look up, you may be lucky enough to see an American bald eagle. As CTV's Joseph Bernacki shows you, there's many reasons why the eagle has gone urban.
Winnipeggers are using their eagle eyes to spot birds of prey soaring in the sky.
We live a half block from the Assiniboine River, and we regularly see eagles.
Naomi Gerard loves everything about the bald eagle. They are even an inspiration for her art, right outside her River Heights home.
One day I was working in my studio upstairs, and I looked out, and there was an eagle. Just flew in, landed on the tree right outside my studio, which was just awesome.
You'll recognize John Gerard. He's the former Liberal leader for Manitoba. But when he wasn't in the legislature, he researched and banded bald eagles. And that's been a big part of his life for more than 50 years.
We thought, well, we should look and see if we can band some of these bald eagles and find out where they're migrating to. And so it started in 1968, and it's continued till today.
The couple travels to northern Saskatchewan every summer, where they study a large bald eagle population. The birds are a common sight in rural areas, but their migration has changed over time.
Back in the 1960s, there were no bald eagles breeding in or around Winnipeg, and now there are.
At Assiniboine Park Zoo, Barrett Miller says pesticides previously used in agriculture reduced the number of bald eagles, but the population has bounced back.
Eagles have made a really great comeback because the habitat conditions were proper here in Manitoba, and they had some legal protection for their nesting areas, to the point where we do see them along Wellington Crescent and down in St. Norbert.
And that's not the only part of town where eagles have been spotted. Based on public sightings, they soar above many Winnipeg neighborhoods. Take a look at this nest above the soccer fields at the University of Manitoba, just one of many places eagles return to roost. Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
BC Mall owner Ruby Liu has taken over her first Hudson's Bay lease. Liu yesterday took the keys to a former Saks Off 5th store in Delta. She says the plan is to turn it into a cultural, tourist, and retail destination. Liu reached a deal to snap up as many as 28 Bay leases across the country. So far, she has only been able to take control of 3 leases of stores inside malls she already owns. Landlords for the other locations have opposed the takeover, saying Liu hasn't provided much of a plan for them. On Thursday, prosecutors spent 5 hours making closing arguments in the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs.
I'm guessing this is going to take at least 3 or 4 days. It's not going to be a quick verdict, I don't think.
Prosecutors called him the leader of a criminal enterprise, arguing that Combs' conduct amounted to sex trafficking because he used force, fraud, and threats to compel former girlfriends to participate in sex acts, sometimes with male escorts who were paid. Combs has pleaded not guilty. Today, the defense presents its closing arguments, and the jury could begin deliberating as soon as this afternoon. Who doesn't love baby pictures? This is TWA-7b. It's about 6 million years old, which is practically a newborn in space terms. It's an exoplanet about the size of Saturn, more than 100 light years away from Earth. This picture was first direct picture of an exoplanet taken by the James Webb Telescope. It's also the smallest exoplanet to ever have its pic snapped. Here's a look at what's happening on Osborne Street. Looks like traffic is picking up over here, but overall moving quite well. If you see any problems out on the streets, let us know, please.
I'm going to use that gauge to say my age now. I'm a zygote. What do you mean? 12 degrees currently. It's slightly overcast to kick off the day. Winds are out of the southeast. The barometric pressure is falling and the humidity sits at 94%. Just a lovely day on tap for us here in southern Manitoba. Bit of a different story to the north. However, it's welcome news as it has been rainy and is likely to be for the next couple of days. That is good news with that wildfire situation. Meantime, we're not going to be exempt for long, as evidenced by the system pushing over the border. I mentioned the rainfall, the thunderstorm activity. Look for that to likely continue to the northeast. The bad news with this system is that instability. We don't want that thunderstorm and lightning associated with that wildfire fight, but we do run the risk today. 25 degrees in Thompson, 23 in Gillam, 22 in Churchill. Island Lake getting up to a high of 25. To the northwest, where you saw the rain first, you still have a chance of that system continuing, but likely it's going to be a mix of sun and cloud to kick off the day. Any risk of more thunderstorm activity comes in the late afternoon. Highs in the mid to lower 20-degree mark. Southwestern Manitoba, slight chance of some rainfall and thunderstorm activity for you into the late afternoon. Likely a mix of sun and cloud. Highs into the upper 20s. Similar for us here in Winnipeg, but we lose that thunderstorm risk. Northwestern Ontario, a mix of sun and cloud, or clear skies. 25 degrees, your highs. Overnight temperatures dipping down to 17. We're likely to get some showers as well, and tomorrow the sunshine is back out.
Let's check in now on Bo at Bounce 99.9. Good morning, Bo. Happy Friday.
Oh, happy Friday, Rochelle. Bomber win last night. I'm smiling about that.
You were at the game?
And Q Alice Cooper, I was at the game.
It was a good win.
A little late, but here I am. I'm here for you. Don't worry.
Okay.
And Q Alice Cooper, school's out forever. Oh,
Not
man,
forever.
Kids are so excited. It seemed like it as a kid, though. Didn't it?
Yeah.
Summer seemed endless.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this week on Bounce, we were talking about now obsolete skills, things you could do really well and still can, but they're no longer needed. And I just got to thinking, I see Ainsley's down at Portage and Main. Hey, as a kid, I used to walk across Portage and Main all the time. So I think I can still do it. Probably a little slower, but I'll have to give it a go this weekend. Other things include for me, and I'm going to ask you in a second here, programming a VCR. I can still do that. Remember rewinding cassettes with a pencil because it was a little loosey-goosey?
Yep.
Loading film into a camera. I mean, we didn't have camera phones. Paper maps. I still love paper maps. And remembering phone numbers in your head. Now, I can't do it now, but I sure could back in the day.
Me too.
Now, how about an obsolete skill that you have, Rochelle, that's not really needed anymore?
Well, I was pretty good at driving a stick shift, and I was proud of myself. I could rip around with my standard vehicle everywhere I go. But now, it's hard to find a vehicle with a stick shift. But I still have that skill, and sometimes I even dream about driving using both pedals on the ground. That's one skill that I think that I still can do. I haven't tried it in a few years, but I really enjoyed it. It felt like you were in a race car when you were driving a stick shift. It was fun.
Exactly. Even if you were driving a Plymouth Cricket, it did feel like that. I know that's real driving. I got tired of it in the city, though. Too much stop and go. But that's a very cool skill. Keep that one, Rochelle. You could use it again someday.
Yeah, and whenever I had my car on the street, nobody could steal it because they didn't know how to drive it. So it was kind of handy in that way as well. Thanks, Bo. Have a good weekend. An urgent reminder to keep a close eye on your belongings. Crowded summer festivals are prime hunting grounds for pickpockets. CTV's John Woodward shows you how to outsmart the thieves.
Within a year, I had like 3 phones stolen from him.
An unlucky year for Anif Williams, whose cell phones and him are quickly parted.
It's ridiculous, man. It's not cool.
His phones were mostly taken when he was distracted on the subway, but police are pointing to the upcoming Pride Festival this weekend as a place where the exciting things to see turn into an opportunity for thieves.
We saw a significant uptick, particularly last year in Pride. Up over 300 cell phones were stolen.
Pickpocketed from people who were distracted or trusting, like Mihail Adler's family. They put a phone down for a moment at Mel Lastman Square recently.
It's a big phone, and literally moments later it was gone.
His screenshots show the phone taking a trip first to 2 addresses in North York and then an address he didn't expect.
And then about 4 days ago, it pinged that it was in Vietnam.
Among many phones traded internationally, one way to escape the remote resets customers can put on them.
So a lot of phones that would not function here in North America will function just fine on a different continent.
Security expert Claudio Popa says thieves try to take a phone while it's unlocked to sell it for more, but if not...
Cell phones can also be taken apart to their core components, and they are worth a lot of money because screens, batteries, cameras, and chips have a ton of value.
And then there's what's on your phone. A Fox station in Minneapolis showed how thieves used bank apps on stolen phones to drain hundreds of thousands of dollars. Similar organizations expected to be operating here.
I will be surprised if they don't. What we're asking people is even to keep things tight, close to their body, in bags in front of them, in pockets. Just be aware and be mindful.
Advice Williams is now following.
I'm more responsible.
He hopes people this weekend will do the same. John Woodward, CTV News.
We're going to take a break here. We'll be back after this with more CTV Morning Live. Good morning. It is 7 o'clock on Friday, June 27th. You're watching CTV Morning Live. It is a big day here in Winnipeg at Portage and Main at 10:30 this morning. People will be able to walk across the street at that intersection. Ainsley McPhail is going to be live there throughout the morning telling us exactly what to expect there and how to manage the new traffic flow and what it means as well for pedestrians. But we're going to have more details on that throughout the morning, as well as a show that's happening at Prairie Theatre Exchange this weekend. We're going to tell you how hip hop and musical theater are coming together. But first, your headlines. The barriers are coming down. Pedestrians return to Portage and Main after 46 years. Plus, a safety plan is coming to Wellington Crescent, but cycling advocates say it doesn't go far enough. And tiny fish with a big appetite, how these little swimmers are helping fight mosquito-borne diseases. Bringing in Catherine Dow now. The weekend is finally here. And it's, for some, it might be a long weekend as well because Canada Day falls on Tuesday. Some people might have taken Monday off. It's going to be, what's it going to be like this weekend?
You know, it's going to be pretty gorgeous if you're here in the south. But the good news is when I'm delivering a rainy forecast for the north, we know that's what's needed up there. So it's not quite the bad news that it would be in other years. Currently, it's 12 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud, looking quite gray actually downtown. Winds are out of the southeast. The pressure is falling. The humidity sits at 94%. It's going to be a very gusty day here in the south and pretty sunny. However, we do start to see some fringe joining us, if you will. This system here bringing the possibility of rainfall and thunderstorms, slight chance of it hitting the southwest later this afternoon, much larger chance of it fanning out all over southern Manitoba tonight. And these sprinklings over here, apt choice of words, because likely bringing rainfall and maybe some thunderstorm activity. As the weekend progresses, a little bit of everything in store. So these are the systems I mentioned. As the day progresses, that's when we start to see that move into the south, bringing rainfall and thunderstorms overnight, so look for a rainy night ahead. The north likely going to be dealing with rainfall and thunderstorms off and on, and then tomorrow likely more purely rain. As you see those speckles, that's the good news. They're likely not going to be very focused, these rainstorms, but better than nothing. Into the south on Saturday, that slight chance of rainfall into the late afternoon, likely plenty of sunshine, and we clear out nicely on Sunday as well, bringing plenty of sunshine for us as well. The heat will be turned up this weekend. 27 degrees is what we're looking at today. Tomorrow, even even hotter at 28. Sunday, a high of 26 as well. Your weather art of the day, this one drawn by Huxton, a happy sun because the sun is so happy about the weather under that lovely rainbow. Thank you, Huxton. And if you have any photos of your kids' weather-themed drawings and sketches, we'd love to see them. Send them to that email on your screen along with their name and age. And we're featuring one artwork every day here at 7 a.m. on CTV Morning Live.
Thank you, Catherine. One of Winnipeg's landmark intersections is set to reopen today, nearly 5 decades after it closed to pedestrians. At 10:30 this morning, Mayor Scott Gillingham is expected to take part in a ceremonial first crossing at the Portage Avenue and Main Street intersection in the city's downtown. Over the years, people have congregated by the thousands to celebrate milestones and protest injustices at the intersection. Concrete barriers have prevented pedestrian crossings at the intersection since 1979, forcing people to go through an underground concourse. The city has released a safety plan for a section of Wellington Crescent where a cyclist was killed last year. Since Rob Jenner's death, cycling advocates have been pushing for changes. The new strategy will see a bike path constructed and the speed limit lowered from 50 to 40 kilometers an hour between Academy and Stradbrook. Despite these measures, those calling for a bike path are disappointed. CTV's Jeff Keel explains.
Cyclists like Lauren Thompson have to share the road with vehicles on this stretch of Wellington Crescent because there is no bike path.
It's easy where the bike paths are, but it's not so easy right here. It's you just have to be careful.
Now there's a pilot project proposal at City Hall to add one-way bike lanes on both sides of Wellington between Academy and Stradbrook, using painted lines, plastic bollards, and adjustable concrete curbs. This until the street is upgraded one day and a permanent path is constructed. Plus, the speed limit would drop from 50 to 40K.
It will provide safer biking facilities, and it will connect key destinations and key pieces of existing infrastructure.
The new safety measures come following the death of cyclist Rob Jenner last year. This memorial stands as a reminder. Cycling and safety advocates say the bike path is a step in the right direction, but they're not happy. It won't be in place until next spring. They want it installed now.
Not just disappointed, I'm very angry. It's just really disappointing that we have to keep pushing these things, and it feels a lot like lack of political will.
And they say 40K is still too fast. The speed should be 30.
It's just a very, very dangerous road. 40 is a compromise made by people who apparently never leave their car.
But this section of Wellington is a regional street with high traffic counts. A section here will see traffic lanes drop from 4 to 2. Lauren Thompson says he's also a driver and isn't convinced a bike path or a speed limit drop fits here.
No, I don't think so. I think 50 is a decent speed if people stay to that speed.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
A city report says the pilot project will cost $400,000. The report says 29 evening and weekend parking spaces between Coburn and Wardlaw will be lost as a result of the plan. The report also says there's not enough time to do consultation with impacted property owners this year. That will be done this fall. Police have found an inmate who escaped from Stony Mountain Institution earlier this week. As we told you previously, staff at Stony Mountain realized Jason Van Wyck was missing Monday morning, sparking a manhunt. The Winnipeg Police Service caught up with Van Wyck in the 400 block of Sherbrooke Avenue Wednesday night and arrested him. Correctional Services Canada says it investigates all instances where an inmate escapes and adjusts security measures as necessary. A Saskatchewan mother's hunger strike has reached 10 days as she calls for a landfill search for her daughter's remains.
Well, what keeps me going is the fact that, one day I'm going to bring my daughter home to her sacred burial ground. Until they start digging, it's just words, right? So, like I said, I'm here until they start digging.
Michelle Bear is calling on police to search a Regina landfill for her daughter, Rochelle Bear, who was murdered by a serial killer in 2013. She has been living off just water and soup broth. She says she will be camped there until shovels are dug into the ground. A Canadian has died in U.S. custody after being arrested in Florida by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, also known as ICE. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand posted that Canadian consular officials are urgently seeking more information from U.S. officials. Meanwhile, ICE says Johnny Novello, a 49-year-old citizen of Canada, was found unresponsive in their custody, adding the cause of death is still under investigation. Harvard and the University of Toronto have agreed on a backup plan for international students to finish their studies. Students at Harvard's John F. Kennedy School of Government who are unable to get back into the U.S. because of visa issues will be allowed to study at U of T's Munk School of Global Affairs and Public Policy. U of T says the deal will not affect spots for its own students. Scientists have found a new ally against mosquitoes: fish. These tiny fish love to snack on mosquito larvae. Researchers in Argentina have been working with them since 2022. They call the fish a low-cost yet powerful tool to fight the spread of diseases. The fish are bred in a lab. They're then given out free of charge to people who can put them in places like abandoned pools, rainwater drums, pretty much any place with stagnant water. Here's a look at what's happening on the St. James Bridge. No issues to tell you about here. Things moving quite smoothly. It's a beautiful start to your day, though. If you see any problems out there, let us know, please.
Canada's benchmark stock index, the S&P TSX Composite, rose by almost 0.75 percentage point yesterday and will begin today's trading day at 26,751 points. In the U.S., the S&P 500, the leading measure of the U.S. stock market, came within 3 index points of an all-time high. And futures contracts on the 3 main U.S. stock indices, including the S&P 500, were higher this morning. Shares of Canadian copper mining companies surged higher yesterday as investors reacted to a sharp increase in the price of copper. Copper traded at more than $5 U.S. per pound yesterday, and shares of companies like Teck Resources, Hudbay Minerals, and Capstone Copper all rose by at least 7%. Finally, shares of Nike were higher by almost 10% in pre-market trading in New York this morning. CEO Elliott Hill told investors and analysts yesterday he expects Nike sales, which have declined for about a year, to improve from here. From the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom in Toronto, I'm Paul Bagnall.
Let's go down to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at the corner of Portage and Main. There are still some barricades there right now, but not for long.
Good morning, Rochelle. I'm standing at Canada's Crossroads back in 1979, 46 years ago. That is when it closed to pedestrians. That will change as of today. 10:30 is when it's expected to happen, when Mayor Scott Gillingham does the opening ceremonies. We're going to have a conversation with him in the 7 o'clock hour at 7:27 and 7:42. $73 million is what the city says was supposed to cover 5 years of construction for the underground membrane. Instead, they decided to opt for 8 months of surface work, which cost them $21 million, initially cited to cost $13 million. So lots of changes, including transit changes, major arteries. When we talked to the transit manager, he said, your routes won't your specific routes won't change. The whole network itself is going to change. So they do have an app to combat that. We're going to be learning what it means for businesses and legacy. Back in '79, Robert Steen was the mayor. Now it's Scott Gillingham, and he's going to answer for that.
I'm so glad Kenny's there to police people as they cross anyway. Thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now.
Citizen cop Kenny.
Yeah, you see that finger wagging in the... Don't do that.
Not you.
How's it feeling out there right now?
Oh my gosh, it's sunny. The temperatures are still relatively mild. A really nice time to get outside. Currently it's 16, a few clouds out there. Winds are out of the south-southeast. They're going to be getting quite strong today. Details on that in a moment. Pressure is falling, humidity at 83%. Northern Manitoba, a bit of a rainy, stormy evening. Look for that to potentially continue off and on throughout the day. The good news is we didn't want that thunderstorm activity, of course. The good news to come is through the weekend you still have a chance of rain, but you lose that sort of a thunderstorm lightning risk. So we just want the pure rain to help with the wildfire fight. Excuse me, today your temperatures will be into the mid-20s, above seasonal and lovely in that regard. To the south, we're likely dealing with sunshine to start, clouds into the afternoon. We too are tracking the possibility for some thunderstorms. Look for potentially some severe thunderstorm warnings later today. It likely start in the southwest, maybe late afternoon, but it'll fan out all throughout the southern Manitoba overnight tonight. So about a 60% shot for us here in Winnipeg. Highs today through the south will be into the mid-20s, and into tomorrow, we're getting even warmer with clearer sunny skies.
CTV Morning Live Weather brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Same-day oil and tire changes.
A little later in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to get a really nice, fresh and light recipe at 8:45. So we want to know, what's your favorite summer dish? Our question of the day is moved from Twitter. So now we want you to text your answer along with your name to 10400. Make sure to follow the automated instructions so we can feature your response. At CTV Morning Live, we're all about celebrating your amazing pets, whether they're furry, feathered, or scaly. Your Pet of the Week submissions have been amazing. We want to see even more, whether it's dogs, cats, birds, or any other pet pals. Send them our way. Drop your pet photos and a fun little story about them to petoftheweek@ctv.ca. And then catch us every Thursday between 6 and 9 to find out if your pet is our Pet of the Week on CTV Morning Live. We're going to take a break here. We'll be back after this. Good morning. Coming up to 7:16. More signs of improvement in the province's wildfire threat. All provincial fire and travel bans will be coming to an end this morning at 8 a.m. Now, there are two exceptions. You will still not be allowed to travel in the backcountry of an active fire zone without a permit. And your local municipality may have its own fire or travel restrictions. There are currently 18 active wildfires, 6 of which are considered out of control. But officials say the situation is mostly stable at the moment.
There's the odd area that's a bit of a concern around Lynn Lake in particular. The north end of the fire there has been fairly active, as well as the southwest corner of the community of Lynn Lake. We were a little concerned about a fire in that vicinity and activity there, but so far everything's holding fine.
There are still 13 states of local emergency. 4 communities totaling 6,500 people are still evacuated. Bill C-5 is now law.
Is it your pleasure, honourable senators, to adopt the motion? Adopté.
The controversial bill passed in the Senate without amendments and has been given royal assent. There were calls to include language respecting Indigenous rights, but that didn't happen. An initial draft gave Ottawa the right to sidestep the Indian Act, but that language was removed. The legislation gives Ottawa the power to fast-track projects intended to boost the economy. Opponents to the bill have said it could rush projects without proper consultation. Iran's supreme leader has warned the U.S. against any future attacks amid escalating tensions in the Middle East. In a recorded message Thursday, the 86-year-old released his first public comments since the ceasefire was declared with Israel, saying the U.S. had, quote, exaggerated the impact of the strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. That conflicts with reports this morning from Iran's foreign minister, stating the U.S. strikes caused serious damage. Canada kicks off the quarterfinals of the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup on Sunday.
Seagull rolls it through. It's a chance for Tejan Buchanan. It's 2 for Canada.
They'll face Guatemala after beating El Salvador in the final group stage game on Tuesday. The 2-0 win was just what they needed after a frustrating 1-1 draw versus Curaçao last weekend. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. Central on Sunday. That game is on TSN. Here's a look now what's happening on the Portage Bridge. It looks like things are moving really well starting off this Friday morning. No issues to tell you about. If you see anything, let us know, though, please.
CTV Morning Live Traffic brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. No appointment needed.
Time now for some entertainment news. Megan Moroney released a lyric video for her latest single called 6 Months Later. Moroney performs next Friday at the Cowboys Music Festival in Calgary. She'll also be stopping in Vancouver September 24th for her Am I OK tour. There's a new cookbook you can soon add to your collection.
Drum roll, please. My very own cookbook, One Plate at a Time, coming spring of next year.
Demi Lovato has announced her very own cookbook called One Plate at a Time. The pop star said the book is filled with simple and comforting recipes. It will be available March 31st of next year. Michael J. Fox is getting a visit from the future.
Charlie McAvoy?
Michael, I'm here from the future.
Boston Bruins' Charlie McAvoy dropped by, looking a bit older to give Fox the latest team jersey design. The Bruins unveiled their new uniforms for the upcoming season. Team president Cam Neely was also featured in this video. Fox and Neely actually go way back. They met in Vancouver when Neely played for the Canucks. A who's who of A-listers continues to arrive in Venice for Amazon billionaire Jeff Bezos' wedding with Lauren Sanchez. Celebrity arrivals on Thursday included Kim Kardashian, Usher, Bill Gates, and Tom Brady, joining the likes of Oprah Winfrey, Kylie Jenner, and the Queen of Jordan. 3 days of lavish wedding festivities have begun with over 200 high-profile guests expected at a cost of up to $80 million. However, not all locals are celebrating. Instead, they are protesting so-called over-tourism in their city. Kick off your weekend with Celebrity Jeopardy at 7, then dive into the drama with Fear Thy Neighbor. And don't miss E-Talk to wrap things up at 9. It's all right here on CTV.
The Bathfitter Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years.
Taking a look outside, sunny to kick us off, a high of, or current condition of 16 degrees. We're going to get much warmer than that for our high. Winds are out of the south-southeast. The pressure's falling. The humidity sitting at 83%. Going to be a gusty one throughout the province and a warm one. We're already starting off on a decently warm note at that. 12 degrees in Brandon, 18 in Dauphin, 16 in Winnipeg, 14 in Pinawa. Similar temperatures to the north and even warmer in certain places like Island Lake, 19 degrees, real scorcher. Looking ahead to the rest of the day, we could have some more rainfall and thunderstorm activity to the north. You can see those speckles there. And this system here likely to bring some rainfall and thunderstorms overnight to us here in the south. Today, though, we'll be basking in the sunshine. Certainly when you put your kids on the bus, maybe for the last time this year, 16 degrees with lots of sunshine. Winds are out of the south and light. I mentioned those strong winds. They're ramping up into the afternoon hours. Once again out of the south at 30, gusting at times to 50 kilometers per hour. A bit more cloud coverage on the way home at 26 degrees. Our high's a bit warmer than that. 27 is what we're looking at. Those winds staying strong overnight as temperatures dip down to 17 degrees. That's when the likely thunderstorms join us. They'll clear off nicely into tomorrow, although there is a slight chance of more instability into the late afternoon. But for the most part, a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 28. Oh, I'm not done yet. The CTV Morning Live picture of the day. Stop and smell the roses. Take a cue from this very good boy. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for submitting. And keep your weather photos coming, won't you, to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
CTV Morning Live School Day Forecast is brought to you by Rainbow Stage, your season to sing.
It's time now for this week's Adorable Adoptables. We begin with Littlefoot. This 5-month-old cutie loves playtimes, cuddles, and being where the action is. Whether he's chasing toys or chilling by your side, he's all in. Next up is Sunny. At 7 years old, this sweet girl is all about outdoor fun and playtime. She's curious, warms up quickly, and is full of love to give. If you're looking for a loyal, bouncy companion, Sunny might just be your perfect match. And meet Mertzi. At 9 years young, she's the perfect mix of class and sass. Mertzi loves lounging in style, playing on her terms, and purring up a storm. And if you're handy with a can opener, she's ready to show you how it's done. If you think you can offer any of these animals a good home, just head down to the Winnipeg Humane Society or give them a call. The number is there on your screen.
Hello there, Kara Wagland in the Sports Center newsroom with your musty moment from Thursday. And for it, we are off to the Club World Cup. Manchester City taking on Juventus. Mateus Nunes looking for someone in front. Juventus defender Pierre Kalulu buries it into his own net. Yeah, City will go on to win 5-2 and take top spot in Group G. That is your must-see moment. And coming up tonight on TSN, Week 4 of the CFL continues as the Alouettes take on the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Coverage for that one gets underway at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. That's all for now from Sports Center. Have a great day.
TSN Must See Moments brought to you by Super Blinds and Draperies, your Hunter Douglas shade provider for over 40 years.
We're 3 hours away from the reopening of Portage and Main to pedestrians. Stay with us for details from the mayor on what's coming up today. Stay with us. Live at the corner of Portage and Main, Ainsley McPhail, 3 hours until it finally reopens to pedestrians. Good morning.
Good morning, Rochelle. I actually just spoke to a pedestrian now. He said, I came early because I wanted to cross all 4 intersections and be the first person to do it. A historic day for Winnipeg. Joining me now is Mayor Scott Gillingham. What does it mean for the city today?
Well, it's an exciting day for Winnipeg. After 46 years of debating whether we should cross this intersection as pedestrians or not, we're ending the debate, and the barricades will come down around 10:30 or so, and the hoods will come off the walk lights, and people will be able to cross Portage and Main for the first time in 46 years.
That's easy to say, but a lot has gone into this. Break down exactly what when it comes to preparation and planning, conversation, and so much more.
Well, I want to give credit to MD Steel, the company, the construction company, and their project manager, Chris Ritz, who did an excellent job. They got this project done on time and on budget, so credit to them and their crews for all their work, and our city staff who helped as well. But this, ultimately, we came to the decision to open Portage and Main to pedestrian traffic after finding out that to repair the membrane right under this intersection that keeps water out of the concourse was going to be $73 million. That's just a lot of money, a lot of taxpayer money. At that time, when we got that information, we decided it's time to open it to pedestrian traffic.
With that being the case, what was the cost savings, and were there any other one-time costs that residents should be aware of?
Well, this project was closer to $20 million as opposed to 73, and so certainly, a credit again to the crews who got this project done on time and on budget.
Underground, whether it be businesses or other concerns that pedestrians above may have, what do you say to them?
Well, I think, first of all, the concourse underground, it's not closing anytime soon. I know the property owners on the 4 corners have businesses, below grade, and they're concerned about their businesses. And so there's more work to be done and more dialogue to happen and more investigation to happen on that. But what I would say to all Winnipeggers is this is new to us. It hasn't been done in 46 years. So please, pedestrians, watch for traffic. I'm asking motorists to please go slowly through the intersection so that we can all, have a time where have adjustment here so that it's safe for everybody.
Speaking of adjustments and changes, transit also coinciding, huge changes there. Do you have a message for Winnipeggers on that front?
It's a big week for Winnipeggers because we get to cross Portage and Main to pedestrians get to cross transit, as you say, on Sunday. It's making its change. We're going to a new transit network system, and so all the routes are changing. So I would say to all transit users, please be patient because it's even new for the bus drivers. It's new routes that they're driving as well. So there'll be a period of adjustment for our transit system, but we're building a better transit system, a more frequent, more reliable transit system that'll serve Winnipeggers. Give them better service.
We're almost at a time. Any last words before our next chat?
No, this is an exciting day for Winnipeg, and I invite everyone at some point to come and cross Portage and Main for the first time in 46 years.
Thank you so much. That big chat is coming up at 10:30. We'll have more details on our website, on our socials throughout the morning. 7:42. We have another conversation.
Thank you, Ainsley. Yeah, it's a big day today in the city, and it looks like lots of sunshine for pedestrians who want to cross for the first time.
Yeah, I want to recreate like the Abbey Road album cover, like walking across.
Yeah,
it's
all your friends.
Exactly, yeah. So for those heading down to Portage and Main, wanting to give it the first cross, you'll deal with lots of sunshine, pack the sunglasses. It's currently 16 degrees, a little bit warm to start off our day. Winds are out of the south-southeast. It's going to get quite gusty. The barometric pressure is falling and the humidity sits at 83%. So we do have the possibility for some rainfall for us here in southern Manitoba and maybe some thunderstorm activity. You can see that kind of big nasty system pushing over from the southwest corner there. That's likely to bring that rainfall overnight to most of southern Manitoba. Meantime, it's been a fairly rainy last 24 hours for the north. It's been light, but there could be some more rainfall and thunderstorm activity for you overnight and today as well. For us here in Winnipeg, we're going to stay dry, 27 degrees with increasing cloudiness throughout the day. I mentioned those strong winds to the tune of 30 to 50 kilometers per hour out of the south. Overnight tonight, that's when our risk of rain and thunderstorms comes. Temperatures dipping down to 17 degrees and those winds staying pretty strong out of the south at 20, gusting at times to 40 kilometers per hour. Tomorrow, we have a slight chance of rain and thunderstorms into the late afternoon. For the most part, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 27 degrees. Southwesterly winds a little lighter at 20 kilometers per hour. Sunday's looking picture perfect, 26 degrees. That's above seasonal. 25 is what's typical. Lots of sunshine. sunshine. And no, the machine is not broken. This is just kind of the norm. We're hitting a theme for our weather next week. 27 to kick off the work week with sunshine, and that sunshine is likely to keep shining through much of the week. 26 on Tuesday, 28 on Wednesday, 29 on Thursday. I will warn, when those temperatures start to get warm like that, that could trigger some instability, so possibility for some thunderstorms to roll in at some point.
Thank you, Catherine. Police in Brandon are looking for witnesses after a man was shot Wednesday morning. The force says the 33-year-old man was shot in the hip but survived. They're asking anyone in these areas who may have seen or heard anything unusual, even if it's minor, to come forward. The area of interest is the 0 block of 26th Street in Alaska Bay. Police say 2 suspects are believed to have fled west on Westaway Bay. They're described as 2 males wearing black jackets and black pants. One had a gray hood on his jacket, a black backpack, and black shoes. The other had a red hood and white shorts. Anyone with information is asked to call Brandon Police. We're hearing some grim statistics when it comes to drug-related death rates in Manitoba. Our province had rates that were among the highest in all of Canada last year.
It is the same thing year after year, which is incredibly sad because we're talking about people, right? We're talking about loved ones.
The number of Manitobans dying after overdosing on drugs is hovering at alarming levels. That's according to a new report on toxic drug poisonings released by the Public Health Agency of Canada. Data shows 371 Manitobans died of opioid-related overdoses from drugs like fentanyl in 2024. That's a slight drop from 2023 totals, but a staggering jump from a total of 62 deaths in 2019. Staff from Sunshine House's mobile overdose prevention site say safety is paramount for anyone using substances. That means not doing drugs alone, having access to harm reduction supplies, and getting drugs tested ahead of time.
There was one test we had that said it was cocaine, like that was what it was sold as, and there was not a single drop of cocaine in that substance. It was mostly fillers and then those other toxics.
Numbers of deaths gathered by the Public Health Agency for 2024 are different than what the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner of Manitoba reported for the same year. According to the Chief Medical Examiner, 570 Manitobans died from drug overdoses. The Chief Medical Examiner says the majority of drug-related deaths in Manitoba are due to mixed opioid and stimulant toxicity. The discrepancy in numbers arises from differences in the ways the PHAC and the Manitoba Chief Medical Examiner categorize drug-related deaths. It's going to cost the City of Winnipeg more than expected to replace Winnipeg Transit's North Garage facility. The initial cost estimate for the new building was $200 million, but the cost has now ballooned by more than $100 million and will cost an estimated $305 million. This is despite the fact that the scope of the project has been scaled back to reduce costs. City administrators say the new design will limit the garage's size, which will restrict the growth of Winnipeg Transit's fleet. Canada's defense minister says Ottawa is considering a new deal with Ukraine, with the focus being the production of combat drone technology.
It is something under active consideration at the Department of National Defence and the Canadian Armed Forces. We can point to a couple of recent successes and practical models. For example, Renault in France has just joined up with Ukrainian manufacturers to build plants, I believe, in both locations, France and Ukraine, for the production of drones. The Ukrainians have made huge strides and advances in drone technology, something that we're actively looking at.
Defense Minister David McGuinty made the announcement while wrapping up a 2-day visit to Latvia Thursday. He says Canada is looking at the deals made by other countries as possible frameworks for a new deal with Kyiv. Even though one hockey season just wrapped up, it's already time to start looking forward to the next one. The Winnipeg Jets are out with their preseason schedule, which kicks off September 21st at Canada Life Centre versus the Minnesota Wild. 2 days later, they'll host the Oilers before their first road game, also against the Oilers, September 26th. They return home to face the Flames September 27th before departing for games in Minnesota and Calgary. Here's a look at what's happening on the Norwood Bridge. Looks like things are still light at this point. No issues to tell you about. Let's look now at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.37. The provincial average is at $1.32. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.30. The lowest price in Winnipeg is $1.16. All this info is on GasBuddy.com.
Price at the Pump brought to you by KidneyCard.ca. Get a free tow and a tax receipt for value of your car.
Right now we're sitting at 16 degrees under mainly sunny skies. More news, weather, and traffic after the break.
CTV Morning Live is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
Sunny to kick us off. A little bit of cloud coverage, 16 degrees. The winds are out of the south-southeast and light. Pressure is dropping and the humidity sits at 83%. Could be a bit of a gusty day ahead and maybe a stormy one, depending on where you're at. You see this rather large system encroaching from the west. That could be bringing that threat of rainfall and instability to the south. The north also not exempt. A whole different system likely to cause some scattered showers, maybe some thunderstorm activity off and on throughout the day. The good news is, while this won't be terribly significant with the rainfall, you're looking at more heavy periods of rain into the weekend. But today, decent highs above seasonal. In fact, 25 degrees in Thompson, 23 in Gillam, 22 in Churchill, 25 in Island Lake. To the northwest, likelihood that you won't get that instability. Good chance of more like a mix of sun and cloud. There we go. Temperature is warm at 25 in Opaskwayak, Cree Nation, the Pond, Flin Flon, 24 in Lynn Lake. Southwestern Manitoba, slight chance of thunderstorms late this afternoon, but for the most part, that activity is likely to come to you overnight. A mix of sun and cloud is what you're probably going to get. 27 in Brandon and Nipawin, a little bit warmer in Dauphin and Swan River. For us here in Winnipeg, we start off with sunshine. Clouds build into the afternoon. Some very strong gusty winds, not only here but all throughout southern Manitoba, to the tune of 30 to 50 kilometers per hour, above seasonal highs throughout. Northwestern Ontario, clear skies for you. Temperatures bang on seasonal. You too could be getting some rainfall and thunderstorm activity into tomorrow. For us here in Winnipeg, I mentioned that chance of overnight thunderstorms and showers. At 17 degrees is what they're met with. Tomorrow, there is still a low chance of some thunderstorms into the late afternoon. A decent high, very warm, in fact, at 28 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud. Skies clear out nicely on Sunday with a high of 26.
Let's go back now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at the corner of Portage and Main, and soon it will reopen again for the first time in decades. Good morning.
Good morning. 46 years, Rochelle. What a moment for Winnipeg's history. And standing with me as a witness and spearheading this whole thing is Mayor Scott Gillingham. When we talk about the surface up top, what visually and tangibly, what are the biggest changes?
Well, the biggest change is obviously the barricades that prevented pedestrians from crossing. Those have come down, and the sidewalk has been repaired and restored. There's new traffic lights, there's new pedestrian lights, and very shortly, in the next hour or two, the hoods that are covering those pedestrian lights will come off, and people will be able to cross Portage and Main for the first time in 46 years.
And the city did a study. You said that there was issues with the membrane, or $70 million. How much does it cost up top alternatively?
Yes, to repair the membrane underground would be $73 million and 5 years of traffic construction delays in the intersection, because it would have to be done from the top. The work that's being done, though, to open it to pedestrians is closer to $20 million, so a significant savings compared to repairing the membrane.
Looking at it now, how'd they do? How do you feel? What's your first full impression?
It looks fantastic. I've said to other people, it looks like an intersection. It looks like we in Winnipeg, we cross thousands of intersections as pedestrians all across our city. So this is, I've said before, this is just another intersection. Obviously, Portage and Main is critically important to Winnipeg's history and important to our future as well. But I think it looks fantastic. I want to give credit to MD Steel, as I said before, for the good work that they did.
Many Winnipeggers divided on this, as they will be numerous issues. When it comes to conversations surrounding business or anything else that there may be, what do you say to them?
Well, I think what's important to realize is, and we know this, opening Portage and Main to pedestrians is not going to save Winnipeg's downtown, but it's an important piece of many pieces. There's a lot of really exciting investment happening in Winnipeg's downtown right now. Just behind us here, there's the Manitoba Métis Federation building, which is the old Bank of Montreal building. That's being renovated right now to become the Métis Heritage Center. Railside at the Forks, there'll be development happening there where there's residential units going in there. Market Lands, Portage Place, the Old Bay Building, the Wayway project. There's a lot of significant investment, billions of dollars actually of investment happening in Winnipeg right now. This is one more piece of it.
Downstairs, there's some artwork by Manitoba artist Bruce Head, the late Bruce Head. Do we know what's going to happen with that artwork?
As I said, no, we don't at this point. As I said, there's the underground concourse is not closing anytime soon. We're looking at several things in the underground right now as far as what can be done, and certainly looking at that important piece of art, that important artwork is part of the discussion also.
When we look at Winnipeg and Manitoba's history, this is a huge part of it. What do you think that says about your legacy, and do you want this to be part of your legacy?
Oh, I in all seriousness, I haven't thought about legacy. I'm really kind of thinking, as council is as well, about what needs to be done. I've said several times, and I maintain this, I think as council from time to time, or as often as we can, I should say, we need to look at decisions and say, okay, what decision do Winnipeggers 20 years from now need us to make today? Then let's make that decision. I believe opening Portage and Main to pedestrian traffic is one of those decisions that's really about future generations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. 10:30 is when they'll be back for the official unveiling. The barricades are up right now. Back to you.
Thank you, Ainsley. A big welcome on Prince Edward Island for the Prince himself. The Duke of Edinburgh is in Canada's smallest province, marking a military milestone and helping mend old wounds. CTV's Maria Saru reports.
Flanked by members of the Mi'kmaq community, Prince Edward stepped onto the cultural grounds at Abiguit First Nation, ready to listen and learn.
It's education through conversation, education through awareness, and it's also education through responsibility.
With a lighthearted warning from the chief,
"Don't mess this up, you make me look bad."
The Duke of Edinburgh took his place in the drum circle for the Mi'kmaq honor song. He also went inside a sweat lodge and spent time talking to families, learning a little about each person he shook hands with.
Jason, nice to meet you. I think that the royal visit here shows the people in the community that you are a productive part of society, recognized by someone as prestigious as the Duke.
Meeting with Indigenous communities is one of the Prince's priorities for the tour, but it's the military that brought him here in his role as Colonel-in-Chief of the PEI Regiment, which is celebrating 150 years of service. The royal visit has been a long time in the making.
It's a mix of nervousness and excitement. It's an opportunity for our newer soldiers to meet our Colonel-in-Chief for the first time, and those of us in the old guard, quote-unquote old guard, get a chance to see him again.
Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Michaud says he first met Prince Edward as a young captain 10 years ago. Today, he's leading the regiment.
It's actually fairly personal being able to do that this time around, so just a huge honor and a privilege.
While the Duke's role is honorary, Michaud says it maintains meaningful ties to the monarchy, as Indigenous communities continue to invite the Crown to share space, stories, and song. Maria Saru, CTV News, Abiguit.
CTV Morning Live Weather is brought to you by Destination Dinner Stage, Manitoba's only musical dinner theater.
The way this jacket is not needed, let me tell you, I'm way overdressed because it's lovely and sunny out here. 16 degrees, the winds are out of the south-southeast at 9 kilometers per hour. Pressure falling, humidity at 83%. Sunny and gorgeous throughout southern Manitoba today with above seasonal values. We're looking at highs in Winnipeg of 27 degrees, 25 is what's seasonal. We're going to be also met with some pretty gusty winds out of the south at 30, gusting at times to 50 kilometers per hour. While the areas in the southwest could have a slight chance of some rain and thunderstorm activity, that'll likely fan out over the south overnight. There we go. So it could be likely to be a stormy evening for us. In the north, there's been some smattering of rainfall overnight. Look for that to continue, bringing that slight chance of some thunderstorm activity as well. Temperatures also in the mid-20 degree mark. The good news is rain is likely off and on throughout the weekend, and you lose that risk of thunderstorms, which we don't want with the wildfire fight. So hopefully that rainfall will be of good help with that wildfire dousing that's currently going on. In the south, however, lots of sunshine on the way for the weekend.
Thank you, Catherine. It's time for part one of Let's Celebrate. Let's see who's having a celebration today. Happy 6th birthday, Lisa. Love from your family. Happy birthday, Manda, with love from your family. Happy birthday, Sarah, from Mom, Dad, Abby, Grandma, and Grandpa, Punky Pudding, and Salem. Happy 18th birthday, Janika. Love from both moms, dad, sisters, and nieces. Happy 8th birthday, Sophia. Love Mom, Dad, Gloria, and Tony. Happy 10th birthday, Kipton, from Dad, Mom, and Alora. Happy birthday, Addison. Love Mom, Dad, sister, Cars, and the fur babies. Happy 13th birthday, Mateo. Love your family and friends. Congratulations, Cortana, on your graduation. Love mom, dad, and all your siblings. Happy 6th birthday, Maddie. Love mom, dad, and Devin. Stay tuned as part 2 of Let's Celebrate. We'll be back just after the next break.
At Sport Manitoba with Janelle Bahaneke, the events and sponsorship coordinator here. Janelle, you've got a fun day coming up. Why don't you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, so on Saturday, July 5th, we have Game Day presented by Qualico. It's a fun day. We've got about 25 sports stations coming out, totally free for families to attend. Bring your kids out, come try some sports that you've never tried before, and see, you know, what your kids start to like, and maybe it's something that you want to register for without committing to a full season or paying for registration fees. There's going to be, like I said, over 25 different stations, so come on and try it out.
I love that idea of it's kind of like a commitment-free way to try different things, right? Kids might think that they're into something, and maybe they've been playing something for the entire year or season now, but they've been curious about something else, or maybe you as a parent want them to try something else, and there's really benefits to branching out, aren't there?
Yeah, of course. We really encourage a multi-sport approach, especially at that younger age group. Transferable skills to other sports, to just life in general, avoiding burnout in one specific sport for too long, and most importantly, having fun while staying in sport.
Yeah, keeping that passion alive. And you're right, sometimes when you're trapped into one thing for too long, even though you might be really passionate about it, the joy starts to wear off a little bit after a while. So maybe sometimes just trying something new, taking a break from it, it can re-spark that interest in the initial sport. Or maybe it suddenly sparks an interest in a new sport. And that's the idea, right? 25 different sports. I imagine there's some that people don't even think of necessarily.
Oh, yeah. We've got all different types. They're all on our webpage, sportmanitoba.ca/event/summer game day. Take a look, see what's there. Maybe there's something on there that, oh, I want to try that, or get my kid involved in that. You're more than welcome to come down to Lyric Field at Assiniboine Park on July 5th.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day. Let's give a shout out to Qualico, too, for making a day like this possible.
Yeah, Qualico's awesome to work with. We're really thankful for their support in amateur sport across the entire province and allowing Manitobans to have these opportunities.
Okay, so you mentioned July 5th at the Lyric Theatre at the park. Is there anything people need to bring with them?
Sunscreen, a water bottle, some good running shoes, and a great attitude.
There you go. How easy is that? Head on down to the park. Great attitude is the best thing that you can bring. Although, of course, the sun smarts and the water bottle. You want to stay hydrated and making sure that you're going to have a really good day out there. So pack all of those things. Pack that good attitude. Really, nothing else matters, right? It's going to be a fun day.
You bet, yeah. No registrations required. It's totally free. Come on down.
Excellent. See you there.
This report is sponsored by Sport Manitoba, growing sport, wellness, and community.
We're about 2.5 hours away from the official reopening of Portage and Main to pedestrians. We're going to have more after the break. Stay with us. It's time for part 2 of Let's Celebrate. Let's see who's having a celebration today. Happy birthday, Charlie in Churchill. Love your family and friends, and from Tuduli Lake. Happy first birthday, honey. Love mom and dad and your brothers and sisters. Happy 16th birthday, Jacob. Daddy and mama send their love. Happy birthday, Emily, from family and friends. Happy 3rd birthday, Xander. All our love from Baba, Guido, mom, dad, Bentley, Theo, and McKay. Congratulations, Owen, on your grade 12 graduation. Love Auntie Gabe, Ethan, Uncle Rob, and Roxy. Happy graduation and congratulations, Kyla. Love Nene, Tate, and Adrian. Happy 2nd birthday, Bennett, from your family. And a happy 10th birthday and farewell to single digits, Deegan, from family and friends. If someone you care about is having a birthday, anniversary, retirement, or graduation, let's celebrate. To submit your celebration, visit our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form at least 2 days in advance. It'll also enter you into our monthly contest for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate to Party Stuff.
Let's Celebrate, brought to you by Party Stuff, 3 Winnipeg locations and at partystuff.ca.
Good morning. It's 8 o'clock on your Friday. Thank you so much for staying with us here on CTV Morning Live. In the next hour, we're going to tell you about a brand new online resource. It is called the Stories of the Red River Cart. It's something teachers, parents have been asking for. So we're going to tell you what that is and what it looks like. And then also at 8:45, we're going to have some easy to make, fresh and light summer recipes. But first, your headlines. Wildfire update. Big changes took effect just a few minutes ago, affecting travel and burn restrictions. Inflation and wages are both heading up in Canada, but are increases in one area canceling out gains in the other? And Backyard Bruins, not the name of a new kids series, but rather a real-life surprise for a BC family. Bringing in Catherine now. It's going to be a beautiful start to the weekend today. Lots of sunshine.
Yes, however, we do have the potential for some rather severe thunderstorms on tap. The good news is that'll hopefully be in our rearview mirror in time for tomorrow. But looking outside right now at the Forks, it's looking picturesque. 16 degrees. The winds out of the south-southeast still light. They're going to be ramping up. The barometric pressure is falling and the humidity sits at 83%. So Environment and Climate Change Canada warns some upper troughing moving in from the west could lead to some rather severe thunderstorm activity for us here in southern Manitoba. You can see the beginnings of this system pushing in here, and as we look at our future gas, we get a better sense. So as the upper trough moves in, it meets a cold front, and that could create some rather severe thunderstorms. Could be supercell in nature. That means large hail to 6 centimeters worth, and the potential for a tornado. However, we do know that with unstable weather patterns like this, it's not totally clear when or where it will hit. Just know we're likely to get a fairly stormy evening ahead, so that system should develop throughout the day. This is very early information. Meanwhile, to the north, after that info dump, you had a bit of a damp evening, potential for a damp one again today. As the day progresses, maybe some thunderstorm activity for you. You saw that system clip through us pretty quickly, so that's the good news. We'll start off tomorrow with clear sunny skies after that potential stormy evening, and then into the late afternoon we have some speckles there, so a slight chance of some thunderstorms in the south. In terms of our temperatures today, it's going to be nice and warm with a high of 27 degrees. Again, those thunderstorms possible overnight, and tomorrow even warmer with a high of 28. Your weather art of the day, Huxton, this. The sun is smiling because it's enjoying some beautiful weather. Thank you, Huxton, for putting pen to paper and sending that in. And if you have any photos of your kids' weather-themed drawings or sketches, we'd love to see them. Submit them to that email on your screen along with their name and age, and we're going to feature one artwork every day at 7 a.m. on CTV Morning Live.
Thank you, Catherine. More signs of improvement in the province's wildfire threat. All Manitoba provincial fire and travel bans came to an end just a few minutes ago. Now there are 2 exceptions. You will still not be allowed to travel in the backcountry of an active fire zone without a permit, and your local municipality may have its own fire or travel restrictions. There are currently 18 active wildfires, 6 of which are considered out of control, but officials say the situation is mostly stable at the moment.
There's the odd area that's a bit of a concern around Lynn Lake in particular. The north end of the fire there has been fairly active, as well as the southwest corner of the community of Lynn Lake. We were a little concerned about a fire in that vicinity and activity there, but so far everything's holding fine.
There are still 13 states of local emergency. 4 communities totaling 6,500 people are still evacuated. New data suggests Canadians' pay is going up faster than inflation. A Stats Can report says the average wage in April went up more than 4% from the year before. During that same time period, inflation went up 1.7%. One economist says wages have been gaining on inflation since 2023, but people don't feel the relief as much because prices keep going up.
Folks are upset that prices are going up on things, regular, everyday purchases like food. They're upset that prices for rental or the price per purchase of houses has been going up and really hasn't been coming down all that much.
This economist also warns the upward trend may be put at risk by the U.S. trade war. A family in Maple Ridge, BC got quite the surprise when they found another family playing in their backyard. It was a mama bear and her 2 cubs enjoying some summer fun. You can see one of the cubs is jumping to reach a tether ball while another wrestles with mom. The man behind this video says his wife told him some neighborhood kids were messing around in their yard, but when he went to have a word with them, he decided not to mess with them. I guess not. All right, taking a look right now at what's happening on Donald Street. Things look pretty good here so far. No issues to tell you about. If you see any problems out on the streets, though, please let us know.
Traffic is brought to you by Curtis Carpets, Manitoba's flooring experts.
Many people wanted Portage and Main to reopen. Many others said no way. Today, those who said we want it open are getting their way. Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning, Rochelle. And back in 2018, when there was a big conversation voted down, Vote Open Winnipeg, of course, was defeated. Adam Dooley spearheaded that. And you know what he said to me today? I'm glad I kept the shirt. So good morning, Adam. Thank you for being here. Take us back to 2018.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I rocked the shirt today. Well, I remember the summer, I was running a business 2 blocks from here, and I remember the vote was being announced that we were going to have this crazy plebiscite over opening an intersection. And I thought, well, we've got to make this happen. It's the right thing to do for our city. It's the right thing to do for the businesses in the area, for the residents. And within a couple of days, a few phone calls, we had lots of people lining up to help.
And why? Why is it the right thing to do?
Well, we need to design cities for people first, not cars first. I think this has been proven time and again. This was a bad deal for the city of Winnipeg. It favored a developer to drive business to his shops downstairs, and it wasn't really in the best interest of Winnipeggers and the businesses on this corner, really.
The downtown conversation, it can't be answered with just one question. It's complicated. There's lots of moving parts. But do you think this specifically will drive more foot traffic to downtown?
Well, it'll drive more foot traffic to this intersection for sure, and that's important for social life and for the economic life of the most important intersection in our city. If you think about it, there's empty lots that are within a stone's throw of this, which is crazy. It should be the most valuable, most developed, most desirable property for commerce in the city, and yet it hasn't been for 46 years. So this is a victory for Winnipeggers. This is a victory for the people in the 1970s who didn't want this. It's a victory for every city council since then that didn't want this and wanted to get rid of it. It's a victory for the businesses, the residents. It's a victory for people with mobility issues who had to find that secret elevator only to discover it wasn't working. It's a victory for safety too. I think this is going to be a much more pleasant, people-friendly space.
Why do you think it's a victory for safety?
Well, if you remember what it was like before, the dark, dank hallways that you would go down, you didn't know who you were going to find. After hours, this was a very sketchy place, and this gives us more eyes on the street. It gives us more ability to feel like we have exits, right, if you're walking after hours. So I think it's absolutely a victory for safety.
You're not the only person within this group. How many were there at the time, and what are they saying now?
Well, everyone's pretty happy. It feels like we lost the battle, but we won the war on a technicality, but we'll take it. And everyone's feeling pretty good about it. I think it's a positive sign. We've got Graham Avenue now pedestrianized, or about to be. We've got a new transit system coming into the city. I think these are all really positive steps. Not any one of them is going to be the panacea, the thing that's going to save downtown. But I think taken in concert with all the other great things that have happened, hopefully we're moving forward in the right direction.
Adam, thank you so much. Coming up at 8:38, we're talking to the downtown Winnipeg Biz.
Okay, thank you, Ainsley. The growing danger of deceptive AI cloning tools has made it easier for criminals to mimic voices of high-profile public figures. CTV's John Venevalli-Rao on how to safeguard against the new scam.
In Toronto, this is the city's inaugural Tech Week, with all sorts of events showcasing the area as a global tech hub. And it's where the country's Minister for Artificial Intelligence announced more than $2 million aimed at helping small businesses in Southern Ontario adapt to using AI and boost productivity.
AI is not just a tool, it's a revolution. We know this. We are in a Gutenberg moment here.
But AI Minister Evan Solomon also meeting with AI pioneer Jeffrey Hinton, who has raised concerns about the safety of the tech, pushing for more government regulation. This as the Anti-Fraud Center issued a warning this week about a spike of bad actors using AI, including voice cloning, to scam people, including business leaders.
We are living in an age of misinformation and disinformation and deep fakes, and these are deep harms. So these are legitimate concerns about it.
Criminals are using AI-generated voice messages and text to impersonate senior officials and prominent public figures to swipe money and information.
One instance,
The fraudulent signal message was appearing to come from a U.S. official and requested a large transfer of money under the guise of a tariff-related emergency.
I'll have you know I graduated top of my class in the Navy SEALs.
For a couple of years, Prince Harry or anyone else could have their voice essentially stolen and cloned. But to do it is now easier than ever. So experts say be wary of a call from someone claiming to be a high-ranking government official or someone you trust demanding urgent action. Be skeptical, especially if those requests are about money. Try to verify the person's identity independently and don't click on suspicious links. And while it used to be fake video and audio had flaws, making them easy to spot, they said that's now often no longer the case. John Vanavelli-Rouse, CTV News, Toronto.
The Bathfitter Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years.
A little bit of cloud to kick us off, but still looking pretty lovely. 18 degrees. The winds are starting to pick up out of the south at 13 kilometers per hour. Pressure is falling. Humidity sits at 72%. So yes, it's going to be a very warm day today, slightly above seasonal. We're already starting off at a warm note, as evidenced by our currents. 15 in Brandon, 19 in Dauphin and Swan River already. Let's move out of the way to show you Kenora at 18 degrees. Temperatures very much on par with what we're seeing here, and to the northeast, even warmer, 20 in Island Lake and Gillam. We got word from Environment and Climate Change Canada that southern Manitoba could be in for some rather severe weather. It could be in the form of severe thunderstorms overnight that could bring hail, maybe a tornado risk, but of course with these kind of unpredictable systems, the movement is rapid and it will be get a clearer picture of how it will develop later on throughout the day. Certainly though, this morning, not to worry about that. 16 degrees as the kids head out. Maybe the last day on the bus with clear sunny skies. Winds out of the south. They pick up considerably into the afternoon at 30, gusting at times to 50 kilometers per hour. A couple clouds moving in, temperatures at 26. Our high is a little bit warmer than that. 27 is what we're looking at. And overnight, that's when we could be getting that broad area of instability, maybe bringing rain and thunderstorms all throughout southern Manitoba. Again, still early to say just how that will progress. And then Saturday, still a slight chance of thunderstorms, but likely a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 28. Musical theater meets hip-hop in a new event coming to PTE. Those details just ahead.
CTV Morning Live School Day Forecast is brought to you by Rainbow Stage, your season to sing.
Good morning. Coming up to 8:15, the Winnipeg Folk Festival is celebrating a milestone this summer, and we want you to have the whole experience. Folk Fest is 50 in 2025. As always, it will feature music, workshops, and a whole lot more. And you can be there to make memories of your own. We're giving away tickets for the entire weekend, plus quiet camping for you and 3 friends. To enter, head to the contest page on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and then tell us your favorite story or memory, whether it's from the first festival or the 49th, and maybe share a pic or two. Good luck.
Canada's benchmark stock index, the S&P TSX Composite, rose by almost 0.75 of a percentage point yesterday and will begin today's trading day at 26,751 points. In the U.S., the S&P 500, the leading measure of the U.S. stock market, came within 3 index points of an all-time high. And futures contracts on the 3 main U.S. stock indices, including the S&P 500, were higher this morning. Shares of Canadian copper mining companies surged higher yesterday as investors reacted to a sharp increase in the price of copper. Copper traded at more than $5 U.S. per pound yesterday, and shares of companies like Teck Resources, Hudbay Minerals, and Capstone Copper all rose by at least 7%. Finally, shares of Nike were higher by almost 10% in pre-market trading in New York this morning. CEO Elliott Hill told investors and analysts yesterday he expects Nike sales, which have declined for about a year, to improve from here. From the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom in Toronto, I'm Paul Bagnall.
10 of Winnipeg's top hip-hop choreographers and about 70 dancers will be hitting the Prairie Theatre stage for a unique blend of dance and musical theatre Saturday. It's called The Remix, and it's put on by Rise Musical Theatre Company and the Prairie Theatre Exchange. Joining us now to tell us more are the founder of Rise Musical Theatre, Joseph Civillo, and the choreographer of The Remix, Lee Benega. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, this is really unique because hip-hop dancers, they know their genre, genre, they know how to dance, they know how to move, but now you're getting them to do some singing and some theater at the same time. How challenging is it to bring all of this together?
It's definitely challenging as a producer, director type to really make anything from scratch, but because of the abundance of talent in the hip-hop community, my passion was sparked and driven to build an industry for them. Just as musical theater is rich in the city, I wanted to bridge that gap within the hip-hop talent and the musical theater community in Winnipeg.
So how's this going to look? How's it going to work?
So it's basically a 90-minute show, 2 acts. There's 5 choreographers presenting their piece in Act 1 and 5 choreographers presenting their piece in Act 2. Okay. So it's a little like Coachella. So every act they've been tasked to work around a singer, a vocalist, which bridges the art form of hip-hop dance to musical theater, which is rare for some of them. And essentially you're seeing like a Beyonce, an Ariana Grande, a Justin Bieber, and there's 5 different sets to different music that essentially tells their story.
That's cool. Yeah. Okay, so Lee, you've been dancing since you were just a lad.
Pretty much, yeah.
How hard has it been to be a part of this process?
It's been actually quite difficult, but also it's pretty fun, actually, just because I was always given the task to like choreograph like studios or also dance teams, but now there's like a curveball where we're choreographing with the singer on top of like trying to portray a story. So it's kind of different in a way where I have to try to showcase the singer more than the dancer when I'm normally the one that's showcasing the dancer instead.
Right.
Yeah.
But you've had some experience doing musical theater as well. Tell us a little bit about how you two have partnered up in the past.
Yeah, actually we partnered up during Mabuhay for Rainbow Stage, and I think, well, Joseph started off with the choreographer workshop where he was looking for choreographers that were willing to be part of the Rainbow Stage process, and I submitted to it, and then I guess from there like it was just history where we were just starting to connect and we had that chemistry, and then I think from there we really tried to get along from it.
How exciting is it for you to be a part of something brand new like this?
I mean, I thrive off of doing new things personally.
Your face is glowing right now.
Yeah, like the whole world won't change unless we do different things, right? And so for me, I'm an artist. So if I don't experiment with different art forms and different ways of doing things, then how is the world going to change for the better? And how am I going to grow as an artist? So this is really exciting that we have 10 different acts, because we use the similar sort of model to find the choreographers, where we had 3 choreographers for Mabuhay. We gave them a singer and we gave them the same song to see how they would attack it. Okay. Now we've given the choreographers agency to pick their own song, tell their own story. So as long as it's story driven, but with a vocalist involved as well.
So will the audience laugh? Will they like sing along? Like, what's it going to look like?
You know, I haven't seen all the pieces in its entirety. It's a little bit of a surprise for me because we have given the choreographers full agency of their piece. But from what I've seen, I was crying, I was laughing already.
That's so lovely. Okay, so this is happening on Saturday. There are 2 shows people can check out.
Yes.
How do they get tickets?
They get tickets by going in person at the box office, 3rd floor of Portage Place Mall, or at the PTE website, Prairie Theatre Exchange website.
Well, thank you for sharing this with us, and good luck tomorrow. It sounds like it's going to be a blast.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, it's so nice and sunny and warm out here. 18 degrees, couple of clouds out there. We're currently with the winds out of the south at 13 clicks. They're going to be ramping up as well. Pressure's falling, humidity sits at 72%. So I want to warn you about some potentially severe weather coming our way to southern Manitoba. Some upper troughing that's pushing in from the west is starting to move into our region. As that progresses and meets with a cold front, a good chance of some severe thunderstorms likely coming overnight. Environment and Climate Change Canada warns they could be supercell in nature, so that means there could be some hail, a few centimeters sized hail, some strong winds, and excuse me, heavy rains, there's the word I'm looking for, and likely for that to happen overnight as mentioned. Meanwhile, to the north, you've had a smattering of rain overnight. That could potentially continue today. Also some instability in your region, so a chance of some thunderstorms. The good news is rain is likely off and on throughout the rest of the weekend without that thunderstorm and lightning risk, which is helpful for the wildfire fights. In terms of our temperatures, to the north, highs into the mid-20s, and for us here in the south, even the upper 20s, and that heat will continue continue into the weekend as we lose the rainfall and grab onto some sunshine. Your CTV Morning Live picture of the day. This very good boy is reminding you to stop and smell the roses. Thank you to Sabrina for capturing this adorable moment. And if you have any weather photos to share, send them our way to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
Weather brought to you by Blinds Are Beautiful at 900 Lorimer Boulevard, featuring Hunter Douglas shades.
Athletes do hear the taunts and heckling from spectators in the stands. A Major League Baseball player was driven to tears on the field. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more.
The baseball world coming together to support a star player brought to tears after being taunted by a fan about his deceased mother.
Ketel Marte in tears, kneeling down behind second base.
Arizona Diamondbacks star Ketel Marte was at bat against the Chicago White Sox Tuesday night when he looked into the stands and started shaking his head. Moments later, he was in tears, his teammates and coach coming to comfort him.
Torey Lovullo with Ketel Marte in tears on the pitcher's mound.
Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovullo later saying a White Sox fan had taunted Marte about his mom, who was killed in a car crash in 2017.
Fans are nasty and fans go too far sometimes. And I love my players, and I'm going to protect them.
Lovullo, who's known Marte for years, located the fan in the stands and called for security to eject him. The incident prompting new calls for the league to better police fan behavior. Baseball not the only sport dealing with unruly fans.
Don't choke, Gabby!
A fan recently taunted and made racial comments toward Olympic gold medalist Gabby Thomas.
Gabby got a white guy!
And stars from several pro sports say the rise of sports betting has led to more fans threatening players and their families.
Ketel Marte.
Back in Chicago, as Ketel Marte took the plate yesterday for the first time since the incident, the White Sox apologizing, displaying on their scoreboard this message: baseball is family. Marte's coach upending that famous notion that there's no crying in baseball.
We're human beings and we have emotions, and I love you and I'm with you and we're all together and you're not alone.
Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
CTV Morning Live is brought to you by Robin's Donuts, your favorite stop.
The stories of the Red River Cart, its significance in the Métis culture and the community of French-speaking Métis will be explored and illustrated in a brand new online resource. The website is called Red River Cart Stories, or Histoire de la Charrette de la Rivière Rouge, and it's now available to parents, teachers, and students wanting to learn more. Joining us now with more on this new website is Monique Lacoste. Good morning, Monique.
Good morning, bonjour, bon matin.
Bon matin. This is so exciting. This is something that parents have been asking for. This is something teachers have been in schools. Tell us what they were asking for, first of all, and how you met that need.
You know, I think from the teacher's perspective, a lot of schools are looking to integrate Indigenous perspectives into the classroom. Don't know quite how to do it. You know, they want to do it right. If they've not grown up in the culture, if they're not Indigenous themselves, they really want to be respectful.
Right.
And so l'Union Nationale Métisse Saint-Joseph du Manitoba is the oldest Métis organization in Canada. It actually started before Louis Riel died in 1883. There were a few meetings that led to its founding shortly after in 87. And they have heard from parents for years that we just need something, even as Métis families, to talk about our culture, to talk about our identity. So much has been lost or hidden. Right. In my family, our roots were hidden.
Yeah.
And so how do you get that back? So Janine Touga is a francophone ally of the Métis, worked with l'Union for many years, and she wrote a collection of stories that she wanted to offer l'Union as a gesture of reconciliation, actually.
Nice.
And that was not the ending, that was the beginning of the story, where a committee of Métis educators, members of the community from different walks of life, came together and worked with Janine to get these to a point where they are authentic and culturally appropriate, and they're entertaining, and so it's just a really great resource.
And there's 3 different languages going on the website. There's English, of course.
Yes.
Français, which is French.
That's
and then
right.
Michif as well.
That was really important. So we know in the classroom people are learning in English and French, but when you talk about what has been lost in the Métis culture, language is one of the big ones. And so we wanted to make sure that we could hear these stories in Michif. So Michif is not one language. There are many dialects that are different regions have different flavors.
Okay.
So the site has stories that are narrated by language keepers from Saint Laurent, Saint Ambroise, Brandon, Île à la Crosse in Saskatchewan.
Wow.
So we have northern Michif, we have southern Michif, just a couple of stories, and the rest are mainly French Michif and from different regions. Saint Adolphe is also represented.
So come the new school year,
Yeah.
it's really geared for teachers to use as a tool.
Yeah, absolutely, and there are teacher guides that are absolutely spectacular. We work not only with educators, but with the French Department of Education, Le BEF.
Yep.
And so this meets curriculum needs, the latest standards, and they're going to have really a resource to say, how do I use this in the classroom, not just in language studies. There's even one story where you could use it in your math class. But for families, it's amazing. If you're Indigenous, maybe you want to have an opportunity to talk about things like identity.
Yeah.
These stories are like a jumping off point to do that. And in other ways, if you're not Indigenous, then in a very modern setting, these stories allow you to learn more about what it means to be Métis.
And you don't have to be in school to have a good laugh with it either, Monique.
That's
this
right.
has been so wonderful. Thank you for sharing this with us. If you want more information, we have a link on our website as well. Merci, Monique.
Merci.
C'est belle outside, dehors. I remember some things about my French training. Rochelle's laughing at me. 18 degrees, overcast to start, winds out of the south. Barometric pressure is falling. The humidity sits at 72%. Yes, I actually have some severe weather to warn you about this morning. There's a potential for some severe thunderstorms, as you can see from our radar, this rather large system here. Some upper troughing that's pushing in from the west, meeting with a cold front could bring some severe thunderstorms, maybe late afternoon in the southwest, but it's more likely to materialize all throughout southern Manitoba overnight. So that could look like some fairly strong thunderstorms to come, rain, heavy winds, and some hail. But we get through a really nice day to start with. 27 degrees through our day-to-day high. I'm sorry, I'm like stumbling. Increasing cloudiness, plus those winds are going to be pretty strong out of the south at 30, gusting at times to 50 kilometers per hour. I mentioned that chance of some severe weather likely to come to us overnight. That 60% shot of us receiving it. Rainfall, thunderstorm activity, maybe some hail and heavy rains. Winds out of the south, once again strong at 20, gusting at times to 40 kilometers per hour. Temperatures dipping down to 17. Tomorrow, a slight chance of some thunderstorms late afternoon, but for the most part, a mix of sun and cloud. Gorgeous high of 27. Southwesterly winds persist. From there, we've got a lot of everything. Well, actually, a lot of the same. Kind of a one note here on the forecast. 26 degrees on Sunday with lots of sunshine. And that's the theme of the week to come. 27 on Monday under the clear skies. Canada Day, 26 with lots of sunshine. It gets even warmer from there. But a warning, with these kind of warm temperatures, some instability could break at some point. So keep an eye on our forecast for the development of maybe some thunderstorms.
Thank you, Catherine. Two hotel owners in Portage and Main are facing labor trafficking charges after an RCMP investigation that began 5 months ago. RCMP's human trafficking unit alleges 4 people, all from India, were forced to clean, do laundry, and other jobs at a hotel for well below minimum wage and forced to work 15-hour days. The husband and wife hotel owners are accused of withholding the victims' IDs and threatening them with deportation.
They all came to Canada in good faith, believing they were going to work legally and be protected. Instead, they were threatened and forced to work for very little pay.
The 4 alleged victims were recruited to Manitoba through a Labour Market Impact Assessment Agreement, or LIMA. It's a document that employers need before hiring a foreign worker. RCMP say there's very little awareness about labour trafficking in Manitoba. They want employees to know their rights, including what employers should never do. They should never threaten you with violence, arrest, or deportation, or ask for your pay or a portion of your pay that was promised to you. Employers should never control who you speak with. Employers should not withhold your identification documents. And RCMP add that employer-provided housing should be sanitary and secure. If you think you or someone you know is the victim of labor trafficking, there are community resources that can help. The Joyce Smith Foundation works to provide access to information to empower employees to stay safe from exploitation. The Canadian Human Trafficking Hotline is open 24/7 and is confidential. It It helps connect victims and survivors with social services, law enforcement, and emergency services. And the Salvation Army provides outreach, emergency housing, rehabilitation services, and employment training. You can get all this information on our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. A young Canadian girl is building a name for herself in the world of Lego. She is getting ready to compete on the international stage in a competition for Lego builders. CTV's Jessica Smith has the story.
It's kind of called an Easter egg in Lego language. 9-year-old Olivia Tremblay from Toronto is a mini master model builder, and she's ready to represent in a global Lego competition. Nola announced we're having a competition. Whoever wins gets to be my mini master model builder, and I really and gets to compete in the global competition. And I'm like, I want to do that. Tremblay competed against over 60 kids from the GTA to win the local title. Now her sights are set on the first ever global title. I needed to represent Toronto, and I like baseball, so I thought of the Blue Jays.
There are 28 discovery centers around the world. There's a bunch in the States, a few more overseas, but there's about 28 mini builders now, all working on a model based on the area they live in. Into building since she was a year old, she says the best part is seeing her visions come to life. My favorite part of this whole process is that I get to build everything by myself. And I can also learn new techniques from Noel. The next stage of the competition will see her Toronto-inspired display shipped to Legoland headquarters in Denmark. Her model is going to be the first time that a kid's model has ever been at the Lego house, so that alone is a very, very cool title to have. Keeping her cool by focusing on the fun. Just have fun. Make sure, don't think about it's a really big competition. It's basically just a competition of play. You just gotta build, build, build. Olivia's Toronto-themed display will be here at Legoland at Vaughan Mills until mid-July. To follow along with her journey to the global title, you can visit Legoland Discovery Center, North America on Instagram. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
Here's a look now at Portage and Main. Look at that. This is just 2 hours before it officially opens to pedestrian traffic this morning. We'll tap into Ainsley just a few minutes from now, but look, it looks beautiful. And let's take a look now at your gas prices. The Canadian average stands at $1.37, while the provincial average is lower at $1.32. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.30. The lowest price in the city is $1.16. All this info is on gasbuddy.com.
Price at the pump brought to you by kidneycard.ca. Get a free tow and a tax receipt for value of your car.
For our question of the day, we wanted to know, what's your favorite summertime dish? Marlene says a nice fruit and veggie salad. Thank you. Ken says potato salad. That's a good one. Yes, thank you, Ken. Jackie says creamy chicken feta strawberry pasta salad, filling and cool for hot summers. Susan says pasta salad, anytime. Yes, I agree. Ken says a big old frosty chocolate milkshake. Thank you so much for your responses. Let's go back now to the corner of Portage and Main, where Ainsley McPhail is live this morning. We're under 2 hours away from the official opening to pedestrians. Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning, Rochelle. Yeah, there's been about a dozen or so people already crossing. I spoke to a cyclist earlier who was ecstatic to be able to actually do this and work in the area. So it's pretty cool to see new eyes to the change. We're talking about businesses, though, in this segment alongside Kate Fensky, who's the executive director of the Downtown Winnipeg Biz. An exciting day for Winnipeg. Is that echoed by the Biz?
Absolutely. I mean, this really is a day of celebration, which is kind of wild to think we're celebrating the ability to cross a street. But it is, when you look at the historic, momentous occasion that this really is a generational change for downtown. And I think a lot of businesses are curious, a lot of them are excited, and it just shows that downtown community, a vibrant downtown community, is a priority.
You're excited. More simply put, where does the excitement stem from? What's the big piece that you want residents to take out?
I think the most important thing when we think about it, it's about making those bold decisions that need to be made to ensure that we have a strong downtown that supports everything in the city. So yes, it may just be an intersection, but this really is a bold declaration saying that accessibility matters, that economic activity downtown matters, that downtown is a priority. So we're just really pleased to see this happen. But it's also an opportunity for us when we look at how do we program public spaces, right? There is a lot of space on these four corners. So we're actually going to be having another celebration on July 8th where we're going to be programming different activities, entertainment, and events just to really see how we can use this space differently.
Do you know if there's going to, now that you say that, are there going to be, moving forward, any other ideas in the works?
There's so many ideas, and so it really is. One of the challenges is our downtown is so huge, right? So we have about 300 blocks. We have a lot of different public spaces. So that's some of the thing that we need more support for, but we want to figure out how do we create a vibrant downtown. So maybe you're walking from here at Portage and Main, you're going to cross over to a meeting, maybe mid-block, or you're going to go all the way to the WAG. What is happening in between those spaces? So it's a matter of taking care of the infrastructure that we already have, making sure things look good, but really creating a vibrancy and activity that you don't necessarily get in another neighborhood.
And you are one person, but representing so many. What are you hearing from those businesses and individuals in the downtown core?
I think a lot of businesses are pleased to see the support from council for downtown. It is a priority in their strategic plan. We are still hearing a lot of concerns about the underground. And so we know there's businesses there, but also the workers and the businesses and residents that have access through that. So we really are hoping that we can have our cake and eat it too on this one, and we're hoping that underground stays open.
Anything that you want people to know about these changes? It's one piece of a much rather larger puzzle here on the downtown. Anything else that you want to add?
I think it's really exciting, and we would invite everyone to come downtown this summer. There are so many great things happening, and the neighborhood is really in the middle of a transformation right now. So yes, there is this little project here where people are going to be able to cross the street. There are big development projects that are happening, but there's so many cool things happening in between.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we saw people with the pom-poms dancing. Gabe was here at 6 a.m. with a big old sign.
Oh, that's
Portage
so
and
cool.
Main open to pedestrians. And we're going to have it streaming live as well on our website.
It's a big moment in our city's history. Thank you, Ainsley, for all of this. Let's go out to the rooftop now. The sun is shining for people wanting to go check it out for themselves.
It's the perfect day for it, really, because Mother Nature is being so inviting to come outside and enjoy all that she has to offer. Currently, we're at 18 degrees. The winds are out of the south at 13 clicks. Pressure is falling, and the humidity sits at 72%. So while we are going to be dealing with sunshine in the south and slightly above seasonal temperatures in the mid to upper 20-degree mark, we're also going to be dealing with some fairly strong winds picking up later on this morning and early afternoon at 30, gusting at times to 50 kilometers per hour. Meanwhile, to the north, while temperature is very similar, winds are lighter, you have a chance of some rainfall and thunderstorm activity off and on throughout the day. Scattered, not terribly focused, much like you saw last night. The good news is more rainfall is expected through the weekend. Normally, that's not a great thing, but of course, with the wildfire fight, all the moisture we can get is much appreciated. Meanwhile, in the south, we too could be dealing with some severe weather. Environment and Climate Change Canada warns some severe thunderstorms that could be supercell in nature, could be developing overnight. Still rather hard to predict, but it could be bringing some heavy rain, strong winds, and potentially some hail. Alrighty, we're going to pay some bills, but stay with us. So much more CTV Morning Live just ahead.
CTV Morning Live Weather brought to you by ABC Fire and Safety, your CO2 refill store.
Good morning, it's 8:45. Between this evening and tomorrow, the newest members of the Winnipeg Jets organization will have their names called. The first round of the NHL draft is set to get underway this evening at 6 p.m. Central Time, and Winnipeg has the 28th overall pick.
I think people are generally talking about the same names. It's just what order, you know, and where they fit. So, you know, it will be interesting. And our analytics department spends a great deal of time, you know, poring over past lists and just projections and probabilities and stuff like that.
It will be a decentralized draft, meaning team executives will be staying home and announcing the picks virtually compared to other years when everyone was based in one facility. With their pick further down the list, General Manager Kevin Cheveldayoff says there is a wait-and-see approach to this year's draft, meaning they'll adjust as names come off the board. As for what position the Jets could be drafting, Cheveldayoff wouldn't tip his hand.
There seems to be lots of forwards in, you know, that people are talking about. There's obviously some good defensemen. You know, you don't know where they're going to fall to you yet. You know, I think every scout probably has their own wish and hope list. And you know, that's kind of what you're going through here right now to talk about.
Outside of the first round, the Jets also have picks in the 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. Summer dishes can be easy to make and light to eat. Rudy's Eat and Drink has a new menu filled with delicious summer meals. Joining us now are Mackenzie Robb and Sean Prevost from Rudy's Eat and Drink. Good morning to both of you. Good
morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, why is it in the summertime we're always looking for something lighter at this time? Is it the heat? What is it?
I think we just want some fresh stuff. Like in the wintertime, we tend to lean towards the more heavier stuff. So in the summertime, you want to get that beach bod, so you try to lay towards the lighter stuff.
And so what are considered light things that you would be eating during the summertime?
I think a lot of it is, you know, chasing fun colors and lighter ingredients. We get a lot of fun produce in the summer that we're eagerly awaiting the farmers market to return to downtown so we can get our hands on some of that. But
and you don't want to feel stuffed once you eat, right? You want something light and you feel good after it's done. Okay, so mussels are a popular summertime treat, right?
Yeah.
Why are they so good?
They're just good because they're like super light and you get a big bowl of them as we got here, and they're just a very good, fun tasting dish.
So this is on your summer menu. Tell us about this dish and why it's easy to make at home.
So I think the key is the quality of the mussels themselves. We're flying in fresh mussels from PEI every week because we're starting our Thursday $10 for a pound of mussels promo, which is very exciting. So that's starting tomorrow. And the mussels, I think Sean can speak to a little bit more. Very easy to prepare at home. You only need a few basic ingredients.
What do you need? Can we show?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's open that up.
Peek here.
Okay.
And you take some white wine in there, you get some chicken stock, some seasonings, and some garlic, some onion, and a lemon, fresh charred lemon. It's great to go together.
So you put it in a pan with a lid?
Yeah, you like to cover it so that you can steam the mussels, and then once you see all the mussels kind of open up, that's you know they're pretty much done.
What if they don't open up?
If they don't open up, then that's a no good. You want to take and discard those ones.
Yeah, okay, good to know. You don't want to be sick on that. Okay, salads are also very popular in the summertime. You're going to whip up a fresh salad for us this morning, Sean? So tell us about what you're using.
Okay, well, right here we got a whipped ricotta, and this will be the base of the salad. It'll go on the bottom of the plate here.
Okay, and so how do you do this at home?
You can just throw it in the blender and whip it right up, season it up. It's good to go.
It doesn't do too much.
It looks so beautiful too, right?
Yeah, it tastes delicious.
Okay, it smells good.
You can use a food processor or a blender for this component.
Yeah, like a Ninja, anything like that?
Yeah, anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, this one. These ones are pickled peaches.
Ooh. And again, how easy is it to pickle some peaches?
So easy. Pickling stuff is very, very simple.
Okay. You could do this right at home?
Yep.
Again, the senses are stimulated. It's incredible.
Yeah, the pickling kind of changes the texture of the peaches a little bit. That was my favorite part of the pickling process. It gives them almost a firmer texture and a little bit more of a crunch to them.
So then in the bowl we have
fresh arugula.
Nice.
We add a little bit of this.
What is that?
This is called a black pepper vinaigrette.
Vinaigrettes are super easy to make at home as well. You're looking for an oil, a vinegar component,
some spices in
fresh
there.
Fresh black pepper.
Mix it up. Oh my goodness, does that ever smell fresh and nice? It looks beautiful too, all the different colors going on here.
That always makes me think summer is the colors.
Yes, nice and, you know, it's alive. It looks really great.
Okay, this one, then we'll take some fresh prosciutto chips.
Nice.
This you could do at home, just put it on a sheet pan in your oven so you get that nice crispy texture.
Looks great, and we're almost out of time already. And so on top, you're going to add something fancy.
Yeah, this one is called a Parmesan Espuma.
It's like a Parmesan cheese foam.
Ooh. Oh my goodness.
It comes out there pretty good.
At home, you might just want to grate the Parmesan cheese, but you can come to Rudy's to try this one.
Okay, that's cool.
It's almost like laser beams on there.
Yeah, look at that. And then this dressing on top?
This one is just a spicy honey. We just drizzle it over top.
Oh my, look at that.
So you're getting your sweet, your salty, your spicy.
It's beautiful.
There you go.
Again, Rudy's has a summer menu out right now. Every Thursday, mussels for $10.
$10 for a pound of mussels.
And so many beautiful other dishes. Thank you to both of you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
It's definitely summer barbecuing weather out there. 18 degrees, a little bit overcast. Winds are out of the south at 13. The barometric pressure is falling and the humidity sits at 72%. Mother Nature is throwing us a little bit of a curveball. You can see it coming there from the west. Some upward troughing that's kind of pushing in. Could meet with a cold front, and that could bring some rather severe thunderstorms to us in the south. Meanwhile, a completely different system likely to affect much of the north. You had some scattered showers last night, maybe a little bit of lightning or thunderstorms depending on where you're at. Chance of that continuing today. Temperatures at 25 in Thompson, 23 in Gillem, 22 in Churchill. Island Lake also warm at 25. Less of a likelihood of this sort of system affecting the northwest, but a chance nonetheless. Mostly it'll be a mix of sun and cloud. Highs into the mid-20s. Southwestern Manitoba, that instability I mentioned, that could develop late afternoon, so a slight chance of that, but likely it'll just be a mix of sun and cloud throughout the day. Strong southerly winds at 30 to 50. Highs in the upper 20-degree mark and above seasonal. For us here in Winnipeg, much the same. We'll start clear. The clouds will build into the afternoon. Strong southerly winds. Temperatures above seasonal at 27 degrees. And then tonight, that's when that instability could hit. Rainfall, thunderstorms. Environment and Climate Change Canada warns it has the potential to be supercell in nature, meaning could be a tornado. But again, these are very unpredictable, so you have to keep it tuned to our website for all the details, and to our own Colleen Brady. And northwestern Ontario, clear skies and above seasonal values at 25 degrees. Overnight, as those temperatures dip, that's when we could be seeing that instability, that thunderstorm. Into tomorrow, slight chance of a thunderstorm risk into the late afternoon, but likely a mix of sun and cloud and a high of 28. We're taking a break, but stay with us. Your videos of the day still to come.
Rooftop arrangements provided by Black Coast Garden Center.
Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
It's the Friday before Canada Day, so what better way to celebrate than a pool party? Check this out. These pups know how to have fun, from surfing to swimming to playing in the foam and chasing balls. We will need parks like this. Imagine all the dogs that would love this if we had this in Manitoba. I think it's a great idea. Look at all of them.
For adorable dogs? Sign me up.
Gosh, look at all of them. They're having such a blast.
Oh, no kidding.
It's perfect.
No kidding.
And lastly, things are going to heat up, so best to stay hydrated. Duckaritas for everybody. We don't know what's in this quacktail, but it looks absolutely delicious. Listen to them as they slurp it all up. As the saying goes, birds of a feather, cocktail together.
Party foul, dropping that.
Yeah.
Emphasis on foul.
That does it. Have a great weekend.